think you ought to know. That Men's Radio. The place where men and women really speak. Oh man, what a show. It's Men's Radio. This crazy show is on 3 times a week. Now Russ and Phil are there to help with all your cares. We laugh, we cry, we talk like grown-ups do. But if you're sad and low, it won't cost you no dough. Men's Radio, that's the place for you. With Russ Kane and Phil Dave.
It's Friday!
As opposed to being any other day of the week, you are listening to The Daily Show with me, Russ Kane, and him, the backpack to my sunny Khan, Phil Dave. You're listening to Men's Radio. You're listening to Men's Radio Station. You can listen to us, of course, on our website, www.mensradiostation.com. You can listen to us right now here on Facebook. You can listen to us on Twitter. You can be watching us on Twitter and on Facebook. And don't forget, on YouTube, on the Men's Radio Station channel, just tune in. And you not just see this show. If you miss some of it, you got to go off to the loo, or you actually have a life. All the shows are up there the whole time on the Men's Radio Station YouTube channel. And if you visit it, do us a huge favor. That's all we ask of you. If you could just hit the subscribe button, that would be marvelous. Press like, because it means so much to us. And if we can get the numbers up, you never know, we could make about 3 and 6 in old money. Philip,
do you know something?
Notice
something to the brilliant intro by Ray Gelato. Is that really cool?
And the Giants.
I'm just still bouncing along, so I can't help.
That is Ray. That is Ray. When I'm in a bad mood, like all the time, I have Ray Gelato's live CD, live from the Hideaway in Streatham, as it so happens. You think it'd be Ronnie Scott's, but no. The Hideaway, which is closed in this pandemic, it isn't coming back. It was a fantastic, wonderful venue, the Hideaway. If you've been there, you'd know it. And I just put on the live CD in the car of Ray Gelato and the Giants live at the Hideaway, and you're in an instantly great mood. Now, it's very odd because could you stop bouncing? I
can't help it. I love it. I'm just thinking of the song. It's just
it is fantastic. He's got a new album out as well. I shouldn't be plugging him, but what the hell? He's one of my best mates, so I will do. He's just the most charming fellow. Now, here's the thing. You go, it's Friday, and a lot of people said, are you going to be doing a show? Are you around? And I'm going, well, yeah, why wouldn't I? And then everyone says, well, it's Easter. And I'm going, I can't tell the difference between this and the last 12 months.
Wait. Is it Easter today?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I'm out of here. Bye.
Yeah. Well-known Catholic Phil O'Dave, he's gone. No, he's gone. He won't be coming back. He'll be making, obviously not, he'll be just be making, what would you be making, Santa Holla? White bread. You'd be making Warburtons.
We've got Mock to watch today. You'll be delighted to hear instead of Collar Watch, we've got Mock to watch.
I've amused myself.
Yeah.
Let's say hello to some folks, shall we? Might as well. That'd be a nice thing to do. Hello to Paul Andrews, to Ed Grossman, to the ludicrous Sen Monroe. Hello, everybody, peeps. Ed Grossman, happy half decent Tuesday. Ed, I'm the same. If I didn't know I had an appointment with the dog today, I wouldn't even know. Happy Goodness Friday, says Kimmy Lashmar. Glassy Amanda, who is in the therapeutic area. Good morning and happy Easter. And to you and to Martin Allen.
As a Glassy Amanda who's feeling delicate.
That's very, very good. Yeah, Phil, can you tell us about your new opportunity, please? He's been permitted to now do hoovering.
It's true. I know what you're thinking.
He wasn't let near that Dyson before. Now he's allowed.
I know what you're thinking. That sucks.
Hey!
I appreciate that. Yeah. And you know what, Stephen, you're very kind to ask. For anyone who is wondering what that was, is that I posted a bit of a Facebook rant the other day. in hindsight, I regret doing that. I deliberately kept it quite coded because it pertained to some people I know, and I didn't really sort of think I'd make it too obvious because I don't really want to name and shame anybody. And for the record, I'm not going to either. But
come on, you're amongst friends. Bring it on, baby.
I thought an opportunity was going to present itself for some work that I was rather clinging on to, and then I found out that somebody else who I actually quite admire and like got that work instead, and it just annoyed me. But I'm very happy for us. It's okay.
It's great.
I'm over it now. So
yeah, it's all right. Yeah. I can't believe you're making this explanation. I cannot believe you.
I suspect, Stephen, that it was a case of a bruised.
Stephen Marsh is hilarious. Now, Chrissy Holt. I'm going to just say this, Philip.
Yeah, I'm over it now.
Yeah, you're over it now. Can you stop now? Chrissy, I've seen your thing. I'm not going to read it out. It's a legal matter. I am not getting Men's Radio Station embroiled in this at all. You're a private individual. You can do whatever you like. I am staying totally out of it, and Men's Radio Station is staying totally out of it as well. So I'm not even going to comment on it. I have my views. I'm not commenting. Barry J. Allen.
Says sorry, late working.
Well, hang on. What work?
Now,
he's in Woking. Is that a misprint? He's saying he's in Woking.
Oh, now hang on. I'm very confused.
What does that mean? Phil, what the hell does that mean? Working.
But who's he apologising to? Who's late? Sorry.
No. I can't even deal with that until I understand. Could you get a thesaurus and just find out what the hell the word working means? Hello. Sue Cressman, the queen of Nailcoat Hall. Hello, boys. Hey.
Hang on.
Eva Herzogova.
Wait. This is the Sue Cressman Appreciation Society. We need to sit like Sue Cressman is sitting in her photo.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Anyway.
That'll do. Hey, good news, which I hadn't shared with you and haven't shared with anybody else. You know that we're on Deluxe Radio as well. The Big Cheese contacted me ages ago and said, we'd like to stream the show you do with Phil. I said, I'd be delighted. That'd be lovely. We're on Deluxe. Yeah, we're on Deluxe Radio and on Radio Waves, as you know. And apparently, for reasons best known to themselves, they're loving it.
Really?
Love it. Apparently they're loving it.
What more do we put them off?
I know we tried our best, but no, they still don't. Apparently his figures, his listening figures are on the rise, which amused me enormously. And he's so upset because the actual boss does his own show on another, like a gold station that they have, and they said people are drifting from the gold station going over to the other station to listen to this.
I do apologize.
Makes me laugh. So David Wimble, you charming man, I'm so sorry that we're kicking your ratings in the teeth, but hey.
But just remember, you're a Wimble. That's all I say. Now,
remember, I can't believe you did that.
What?
I have never, because I've never even bloody thought of that.
Chrissy, yeah, you're never going to stop thinking of it now. Chrissy Holt says, "Okay, sorry, I'm in agony with back."
No, please don't apologize. No, don't apologize, Chrissy. I'm just giving you my take on it. Please don't apologize.
Chrissy, don't worry. Russell does occasionally what we call defense mechanism, which means that as soon as something odd comes up or something that's uncomfortable, we melt it. And I also share that same sort of behavior once in a while. Not personal. Very happy to have you. Make no mistake, and wishing you a very recovery.
Back pain is the worst. If you've never had back pain, you go, "Oh, stop moaning." Back pain.
Seriously, I'm telling you,
Paul Andrews, this is making me laugh.
Take it from me, it gets my back up.
You're listening to Comedy Highlights 1955 with Arthur Askey, Tommy Trinder. I can't say it right. Paul Andrews, just been doing circuits at Elstree Aerodrome, and I got excited. Then it says on my flight simulator. Did make me think of Russ's little plane from years ago. Yet try and avoid the crosswinds as you go over the woods. Oh, that was always very unpleasant in the morning.
Now, hang on a second. We've got an issue to deal with here. Now, you know how people can react to a post when you put it out there on Facebook or other social media, and they can either press like or they can guess angry, love, happy, sad, whatever.
Yeah.
I think we've annoyed Sen Monroe.
Why? What have we done now?
He's
I never liked him.
He's
liked him.
to the post saying angry. Sen,
About what? What's he angry about now? What's he angry about?
I didn't ask him.
Yeah, but he does have great big banana fingers. He's probably pressed the wrong button.
Oh, well, in that case, I don't care.
That's solid. What's he ever done for us?
What, quite?
That's how I go through life. What's he ever done for me? Nothing.
Actually, Sen, do you know what? Sen has fed me once before, in the sense that...
he did. You went to his fabulous barbecue, which I am looking forward to this year. This year, Mr. Monroe, I will, if we're not in lockdown 27 and I'm fallen down a hole or a well or something.
Oh, are you going?
I'm probably going to go. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. I wasn't sure.
It's quite a way hence. It's quite a way hence. So
absolutely miles away. Chrissy Holt. Now hang on a second.
Oh God, this is going to be a whole religious diatribe.
It's not diatribe. Oh, don't be rude. Right, hang on a second. Right now, Chrissy Holt says, "Where's the collar, Phil? Hot cross buns? What's the point?" What's the matter with you?
Go on, go ahead.
What's the matter with you?
It's like saying, so Phil, you're having a bar mitzvah. Are you having bacon sandwiches, pork sausage, and some gammon? What are you having there?
I might suggest actually that hot cross buns, just in case.
That's why I'm laughing.
She does go on to say, what's the point of hot cross buns?
No, I have no idea. Just a sales thing, Chrissy.
What's the point of the cross on the buns? The cross, from what I understand, is actually symbolic of a crucifix. That's right.
I would imagine that's what it's
for. Where it's supposed to come from. So, of course, they used to be, obviously, really pretty much only available around Easter time, because that's when people used to eat them. But now, of course, they're available all year round. Anyway, the reason
I haven't had one for years. They're pretty tasty.
Hot cross buns.
They are very tasty, but I haven't had any.
Oh, my goodness me. And this year, there have been some spectacular failures with the different types of flavours that are out there. Seriously.
What are they messing around with it? Oh, God, what are we, BBC Radio Norwich? So what's your favourite hot cross bun? I don't know about you, but they've been introducing some new flavours, and I didn't think that paraffin, kerosene, and 4-star petrol really went down so well. What about you?
No, but you say that, but food is fuel. Anywho, so what happened was that they brought out this apple and cinnamon bun flavour.
Just reading said Ed's comment.
Oh, I see. Right, Ed. It's about Jesus and mozzas with cheese. They had cheese because there was no salmon that weekend. Hang on a second, as opposed to saying Jesus. Hey, thank you.
Be very careful. I'm always very polite about these things because people have all their different beliefs. Me, I don't. I believe in nothing, as Phil knows, and he gets quite upset. But I have my reasons.
Hang on.
No, I think you think I'm just. I think you think I'm some sort of atheist rebel or something. I'm not. I just don't believe in anything.
Excuse me. Hang on just a cotton picking second. You're totally wrong there. I don't get upset if people don't have religion. That's totally their choice. I don't want anyone telling me I'm wrong for having religion.
No, you're not wrong at all. It gives you a lot. It gives you a lot of comfort, and I think that's a wonderful thing. And if it gives people comfort and gets them, through life, and it helps, that's fabulous. That is absolutely fabulous. I don't think it's so great when religion, starts a million wars and you chop people's heads off. It's kind of not
I don't know anyone in my circle of religious friends who do that personally. But anyway, that's one side. Can I just say really, really quickly, sorry, because obviously Chris is on the edge of her seat, wondering what has happened to the collar today. Well, it is currently the middle of the festival of Passover. Now, without boring you what Passover is, it means that Jews who follow it religiously are on a certain diet for this week. And unfortunately, bread...
It's a 3-2 diet.
Yeah, bread is off limit. It's very annoying because I do enjoy challah, as you all know, but sadly, no, I'm afraid that's no such luck. We have to instead eat matzah, which is unleavened bread. It's like a giant cracker, basically. A bit like me, I'm a giant cracker. So.
You can't say that. You're not from the southern states, you cracker. We had a great show yesterday. Oh, by the way, if you're wondering why, in one sentence,
how is that southern state? And that sounded like what's his chops? Oh crumbs! The comedian who's sadly no longer with us, so I thought it was hilarious. Who used to say that? That's a cracker.
Oh, Frank Carlson.
Thank you. Yes, sorry, I'm just saying.
The little bells was ringing, bong, all across the valley there, bong. Oh, he used to do this thing. He did this shtick with this silly song, and it was quite a nice song. What's the matter with you? If you're listening on Deluxe Radio and you're not seeing us, Phil has just collapsed if for some reason in complete hysterics. I'm not quite sure what. So
no, it's just because I'm thinking about that. I'm just thinking about that shtick that he used to do with the bell. The bells.
And the little bell were ringing. Boom. Right across the valley there. Boom. It's hilarious because it's so silly when we do it. It's ridiculous when he did it. He was crying. I don't know why. The way I tell him.
No, but it is.
He was a gifted man.
The way he told them.
He was a gifted.
Hilarious. Seriously. Oh dear, dear.
And tell you what was interesting. About Frank Carlson. When we were on tour, back in the music business days, we were in Belfast because we were supporting Westlife. We were doing, I think, God knows, 4 nights in. No, we did 32 arenas, and we did Belfast Arena, supporting Westlife, who were lovely, by the way. And so I was always in the back of a cab going from A to B and zipping around Belfast, which is an amazing city. I have to say, they've poured billions into it. It's really nice. And everyone sounded like Frank Carlson, and they were equally as funny. Every cab driver, we just start, "Where are you from?" And I said, "You sound just like Frank Carlson." And then they'd start doing a routine, and every single cab driver was hilarious. It was nice.
It's hilarious. Funnily enough, actually, I rather enjoy sort of the task of trying to do different accents, but I have never ever managed to get the Northern Irish accent.
It's very harsh.
No, it is
very harsh. There'll be reprisals for this. It's all sort of that. Now, hang on. We've got a whole. What is this? Sue Cressman. Some idiot in our short road at Nailcoat has sent an important envelope from HMRC back to them. Uh-oh. You don't want any envelopes from them. Is that if you're constipated, just get an envelope from HMRC, and that cures constipation instantly. Now we have to wait 2 weeks for another one, which is really important to deal with. You truly can't speak to HMRC direct. Can you not? Have a quick word. Now, I'll tell you what, Ed Grossman would know these things. Oh, Stephen Marsh. Tell me about it, says Stephen Marsh. I'm a chartered accountant, deal with HMRC every day. They're hopelessly inefficient. Yeah. Ed Grossman. Oh God, Russ, it is possible you'll be in the next series of Marigold Hotel. I'd love. Now that I would do. If so, please take me with. You can't. Glassy Amanda says no. You can't speak to them. I tried a few weeks back. Phil, Stephen, that's very funny. I don't think it's going to happen.
Definitely not.
That is hilarious, Stephen. But that really isn't happening.
By the way,
hang on a minute. Hang on. Somebody called Linda Dave, no relation, obviously. Sorry, I'm late, guys, but we're painting the hall.
Are you? Oh,
this is. I knew Phil wouldn't know this.
I hadn't got a clue. I'd
We're
heard
painting the hall. You've sent your mother up a ladder.
How
badly do you want that insurance money?
Oh, Chrissy, no, come on, don't encourage it, please.
Here we go. Here, Beer and Radio Norfolk. I've just painted my halls magnolia. It was quite daring for me. Oh God.
No,
all right. What colour? Go on. We're hooked. Go on. What colour?
Yes, because I know my mother. Because we have very similar tastes. We're both quite clinical, and as a result of it, we're probably it's going to be painted white. I would have thought.
Wow, daring.
I know, right?
Wow, who'd have thought? A white on the night. Glassy Amanda, has Phil moved? No. Well, no. He hasn't moved.
Phil moved. Well, I can do this.
He can do that. He can wave his arms about like a fool, but no, he hasn't moved. Grey is the new brown. Oh, good. Thank God for that. Because I couldn't help but notice I've got a few grey hairs coming through.
Thank God for that.
Have you seen that? Have you seen that, Phil? Just a few. Got a few grey hairs coming through.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, just a few, 1 or 2.
Now, you see, when I first met you, you still had black hair.
I did. No, it was dark brown. It wasn't black.
Well, you know what I mean. It was black.
Yeah, sure.
So
and I thought, I'm giving this up.
Yeah, you see, I don't understand that because I'm surprised. I thought you because I don't know. Don't get me wrong. The silver suits without shadow.
No, I could live without it, but it is what it is. There you go. Hey, I've still got it.
True.
I've still got it. So then I'm happy. I'm happy enough.
Most useful expression in the English language is that it is what it is.
It is what it is. Oh, Francine Warner.
Absolutely everything. Did you know this? It applies to the most serious of subjects.
Everything. Yeah, I know.
the most trivial of facts. A piece of toast is a piece of toast. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
You know, there's a pandemic going on. It is what it is. There's nothing. It's the most versatile phrase in the English language.
It's very good.
What it is.
Important news just breaking. Francine Warner, our hall is white and white nutmeg. Fran, I have no idea. What do you mean white nutmeg? What does that mean?
That's basically a nutmeg that hasn't got enough blood and it's turned anemic.
I think that's what it is.
Yep.
Between the two of us, we know everything. A mum's work is never done, says Ed Grossman. Yeah, Phil said, get up that ladder with a paintbrush. Go down to B&Q, buy some Dulux. Poor mum's going, can't I just cook in the kitchen?
I've got this thing again where my eye keeps watering. It's
now. No, don't. Oh, see. I had this, and it was like it was pouring battery acid. So I went to the chemist, speak to the pharmacist. Pharmacists, no more than doctors, in my view. I love talking to pharmacists. They really know their stuff. And she said, it sounds like dry eyes. And she gave me some drops, and it's been much improved. It's just drops for dry eyes. Really good. It cost like £2 or something. Because
I've always found
bloody painful. It was like, you know, when your eyes water and it's just like water, but now when they water and it's like, my God, this is like sulfuric acid coming out of it. It's horrible.
Lovely Demise says, my hall is timeless, as am I.
Yeah, she was a wonderful co-host. Oh.
Yes, I have to thank lovely Demise.
She was a wonderful as was that other young girl. I don't know who she was. Lauren somebody.
Lovely Demise and Lauren Mishcon as well for stepping into the breach on Monday when I couldn't be bothered. So thank you.
Michael Verby, Michael Verby, we knew each other as children, which is his mum and dad were great friends with my mum and dad.
Oh,
so weird.
Michael.
I admire at your age. You have such a good head of hair. That's a good profile picture.
Oh,
that's a proper profile picture. Shut up. Shut up. That's a proper profile picture. Shut up about it. Frankly, Michael Verby, at my age, I'm admiring that I'm still alive. So that's how I'm not dribbling and drooling in a home somewhere. So that is good. I do love you both and Lauren. You can adopt us. We are available. Lovely Demisa. She was very, very good, I have to say. We're going to get Leslie Demisa back because not only was she a teacher and everything, but she's a bit of a sex expert. No, I don't mean that. I mean, she's very interesting.
Tim Ashmar says, who do you support, Phil? I support my parents. It's to help the age.
I think it's the other way around.
Not so. To be honest with you, Kimmy, I say what I think a lot of people are feeling, but to tell you the truth, I couldn't care less about football if I tried. I don't actually support anybody, really. I think that if anything, I would say that I quite like the grassroots.
Maccabi 11.
No, I do quite like the grassroots level because it hasn't been ruined by money. If you look at something like non-league football, then they're in it for the love of the game, and I really respect that. But when you look at Premier League, you just think, for God's sake.
They're so cynical. They're in it for the love of 200,000 a week.
Anywho,
as I would be.
Now, Luke Newman, I would love to come back at some point too. Well, Luke, I'm very pleased to hear that.
Yes, that'd be good.
I'm perfectly convinced that we can make that happen.
What is this? Martin Allen. Today I'm out for a long stroll to Kentwell Hall. I could have gone horribly wrong. It would take about 2 hours, stopping to rest my heart. You know what, Martin? I'm with you on that. Having both in my ears makes this very enjoyable. Hang on a minute, Phil. How to bugger up a really beautiful walk? Listen to you and me. I can't imagine.
Quite. Martin, can I just double check something? Sorry, is that the place where one goes to get their eyes tested, Kentwell Hall?
I don't know. Where is it? Give us a clue where it is. It sounds nice. I have no idea where it is. Could be anywhere. I used to like going to Kenwood back in the day when I lived in that sort of.
Oh, Kenwood.
Beautiful.
I really enjoyed Ross's interview.
Ross, who the hell? Where he gets everywhere. That Ross Kane.
Ross.
Me. With the USA lady. Oh yeah. What was her name? Lafont. What was her first name?
What?
I did thank you, Glassy Amanda. I really appreciate that. I got, this was my big error. Somebody suggested I did a podcast. So this lady from Atlanta, Georgia said, let's have a talk on such and such. So, I'm sitting there looking like a wreck, thinking we're going to have an introductory talk and I'm just going to find out more about it. And then we're going to do the show in a week or two. So I start to do the Zoom, right? It's the live show. It's an hour and a half show about the arts, about creativity, about the writing process, about radio and everything. And I'm like, are we doing the show now? She goes, oh yeah, we're really doing the show right now. And that was it. We were away. It was an hour and a half show.
What part of Europe did she come from? What part of Europe did she come from?
She came from Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, right.
She was absolutely charming, but she kept going on. We were talking about diners and places to eat, because I made the point that we started men's radio station. It was a year after women's radio, and my business partner, Howard Jameson, and I were chatting, and this was after I'd done something in the paper review, I'd seen the suicide statistics, so I wanted to do something specific. And we just did the whole agreement and shook hands over a cup of coffee and a greasy spoon in Covent Garden. I was trying to explain to someone from Atlanta, Georgia, what a greasy spoon, and she couldn't download it that much because it was like, is it a diner? And I said, no, diners are really lovely. And is it like a deli? And I went, no, it's really not. So then we started talking about, what are you doing? God's sake. You're just drawing focus, aren't you? You're such a child. You're a child. This is a fascinating anecdote, and you're drawing focus.
I'm not drawing focus. I'm
You're
flipping.
You're drawing focus.
I read the future and trying to determine if I need to. Oh, actually, do you know what? I need more. Look.
I really don't care. Moving on. So she started saying, is it like chicken fillet? And I said, is it like what? Do you have chicken fillet? And I said,
that was my nickname.
What, chicken fillet? What a ghastly thought. Anyhow, apparently down in the south, there is a whole chain like Taco Bell and everything called Chicken Filet. He's gone now. Thank God for that. He's driving me mad. And I said, well, what is chicken fillet? So she goes into, it's like fried chicken on a bun with a pickle and sauce. And I said to her, what was her name? Leslie Lafont?
Sounds ghastly.
Well, it sounds ghastly to you. It sounds pretty delicious. And I said, has anyone in America worked out the correlation between your fast food fanaticism and the fact you're all the huge obesity and heart problems that you have? Leslie Demiza. Russ, are you going to be wandering in and out like the Drury Lane Ferry all day or what? Where did you disappear to now? What are you doing?
Oh, this year I'm off to Drury Lane. Right, okay.
And Viva Liza Doolittle. Russ, about your eye-watering thing, it could be something. Oh, Christ, I've got something else now. I'm falling to bits. It's blepharitis. Blepharitis. It's horrid. Easy way to deal with it. Use very hot water and using a flannel, this is like emergency ward 10, and using a flannel or cotton wool pads, press them against your closed eyes, hold for a while, repeat several times. Do this every morning or evening. Alternatively, do the same with an eye mask, which can be heated.
Crumbs.
Yeah, I've still got my eye mask when I did the Brinks mat robbery. Glassy man, she was what was her? I'm going mad. Her name was Lafont, and so everybody Lafont, Lefont. So everyone was saying was her first name, Helvetica or Sans Serif. Marcus Hayes. Hello, Marcus. I did my long walk around Virginia Waters Park. Bravo to you. Nice. Nice. Getting out there is so damn important. It is possibly pollen time now. I don't think so. Now what you doing? See, this is it. If it's not about Phil, he's got to do distraction exercises. So everyone's going, oh, what's Phil doing? He's so annoying. Such a child. Long live Melford, says Sue Sleet. What's going on in Melford? Is that a person or a place? I have no idea. Completely lost. Oh, she was married. Oh, Stephen. She was married to a French vicar, hence Lafont.
Dear.
Stephen Marsh. We've never met, have we? We haven't met Stephen. No, we've never met. But he does the most hilarious puns every day. There's always a very funny pun which just makes me laugh. Long Melford in Suffolk. We also have Melford Hall. Okay.
Good news for you.
What's going on?
The office / studio is now smelling much nicer.
Oh, that's good news. Oh, Kimmy Lashmar, we're getting slapped down here, boy. We're getting slapped. As much as I love you both, I'm looking forward to Chantel and Anna Kennedy. That's because they've both got OBEs. You took a slacker. You see, Kimmy? That's why. Because they've both been recognised, they both have OBEs. And Phil and I, well, Phil's got a member of Blockbusters Video Club, and I've got members of Automobile Association. That's it.
Oh, I miss Blockbusters.
Do you? That's it. I love the fact that you don't have to drag out and everything's on your TV. It's sensationally good. Thank you for your advice, lovely Denise. I appreciate it.
Blockbusters missed a real trick with that. I mean, I know we're not here to analyse the failings of a video rental company, but at the same time, I do think that they could have been way ahead of the game. If they would have done a streaming service, could you just imagine how everyone would flock to them?
Yeah, but you know how many millions and millions and millions that costs to set up?
Funnily enough, no.
Emergency Ward 10 says Michael Verby. You said Malcolm Verby. That was his dad, Michael Verby. That's one for the teenager. The reason I said Emergency Ward 10 is because our guest the other day, Georgia Mackenzie, her grandmother, Georgia Mackenzie, who was in Unforgotten, playing the forensic scientist. It was her grandmother, the great Hazel Adair, who created Emergency Ward 10. Yeah, really something there. You play drums, Russ. Is that why you're a sex symbol? Moving on. I used to love going to Blockbusters. It was quite fun, wasn't it?
Well, I used to like being overwhelmed with the number of videos there.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting how it was like when it started? I remember my dad, I've joined a video. Okay, Bob. And it was like, what were they charging? They were charging crazy money because no one had seen it before, wasn't it? And then eventually it all got down. Can I have a pee, please, Bob? It was such a stupid joke, but it always made me laugh.
But I used to love that. I used to like the theme tune.
For what? Blockbuster?
Blockbusters. Oh,
I don't know what it was. I can't remember. Glassy Amanda, can you watch Unforgotten without having seen the previous series? Yes, you can. You won't get as much out of it, but it's. I think with Line of Duty, I wouldn't. I'd go back so you know what the hell's going on. Unforgotten, you can watch series 4. It's better if you start from the beginning. They don't carry on. It's just that you get to understand the characters more, but you can watch series 4. That's horrible.
And now,
it's really horrible.
With all the letters, it's Bob Holness. And did you ever do the hand jive with it?
No. What's the matter with you? Because you were what were you, about 8? You were probably about 8 or something when that was out. You were a baby.
I was youthful. Blockbusters, I think, was aimed at my sort of age group.
I've never even heard that tune before. Isn't that ridiculous?
Wow.
Never even heard that. I've never even heard that tune. Love thy neighbor, turn and say, how are you? Gee, but you're looking swell. How's tricks? What's new? Love thy neighbor.
Blockbusters.
That's a theme tune, boy.
Well, quite.
Sue Cressman, we've had the press over, taking photos of our greenskeepers because they thought it was funny that one of them was wearing a T-shirt with "I'm sexy and I mow it."
Hey!
I'm sexy and I mow it. I like that song. Also, my T-shirt says, "That's what I do. I play drums
and drink coffee,
and I know things."
Close enough.
That's my T-shirt, which I got in from the States. Yeah, that reminds me of the A-Team. Oh, that A-Team theme tune. That was great. I used to love that. I'm getting on no plane. You pity the fool, Hannibal.
Could you imagine?
Oh my God, Kimmy Lashmar! I did the hand jive. Oh, the memories.
Yes, I did that. Hey, good work, Kimmy.
What are you talking about?
Because
Kimmy, I don't understand.
No, because at the end of Blockbusters, to that theme tune, the audience used to do the hand jive.
Did they?
Yes.
Why?
It was a thing. I don't know why.
Okay, all right, fine, okay. So there's something about Bob Holness. Oh, I know what about Bob Holness that you won't know. He was the first James Bond.
I thought you were going to say he was one of the first voices on LBC.
No, Bob Holness was an actor, unless I've got this horribly wrong. And the first time they ever did James Bond as a radio play back in 1950 something or other, as far as I can recall, he was the actor that played James Bond. Little did they know that it was going to then be the most successful film franchise of all time. Very, very interesting. What is interesting about James Bond, by the way, as an aside, is that when I've been listening to the books, like the audio books of the actual Ian Fleming book, you could never translate that into the movies that it became. It's extraordinary. Oh, it was a myth that Bob Holness played sax on Baker Street. No, Stephen, that was Ralph Ravenscroft. Ralph Ravenscroft was the man who played sax on who I had business dealings with. We'll leave it at that, shall we? But a bloke called
like Jerry Rafferty.
It was Ralph Ravenscroft who played sax on Jerry Rafferty's Baker Street. Dead now. Moving on.
I can tell you're still getting over it.
It wasn't pleasant. I'll leave it at that. It really, really wasn't pleasant at all. No, it wasn't a radio show, Ed Grossman. I don't remember it. I just remember reading about it. It was a very, very long. It was sometime in the 50s when they did
it was
James
Bond.
Martin Allen, Russ, we're making a film, Porterhouse Blues, which is about Ian Fleming. Is that serious? Really? Oh, good. This is good. But Sue Cressman, because of the delay in the new Bond movie, Christ almighty, are they ever going to bring this thing out? Daniel Craig will be arriving in a Zimmer frame at this rate. I can talk. But anyway, because of the delay in the new Bond movie, I'm producing The Pink Ball for breast cancer in October with a James Bond theme.
Glassy Amanda says, has anyone seen... Glassy Amanda says, has anyone seen the Tina Turner doc? It's amazing.
Yes, my very close friend has seen it and said it was fantastic.
I thought you were going to say it's simply the best.
My very close friend saw it and she said it was absolutely marvelous. Yeah, Tina Turner. Wow, saw her at Wembley Arena. She was sensational. Absolutely marvelous. Absolutely fantastic. I'm definitely going to watch this. Watch what?
Watch what?
Well, I don't know. Everyone's chatting here. I don't know what they're talking about. I've got Alan Partridge.
You know what? Actually, that would be a nice little feature for the section that Chantel does. Watch what? I'm losing the will to live here. I'm not following it. It's our own show and I'm not following it. Don't let us keep you then.
No. I got a ridiculously packed day today.
Well, you know what we do need to do, don't you? We have to tell people what's coming up.
Please. Oh, Brian Adams support. Is that right, Glassy Amanda? Brian Adams was support. I saw Brian Adams at the Albert Hall. Jeez. It was back in whenever it was right at the height of his fame, Brian Adams, right? I stood up and I played air guitar the entire concert. I didn't care. I had the best time ever. Just stood up playing air guitar. Fabulous fun.
Bob, according to my mother, Bob Holness did a program in South Africa on radio called the President Platter Parade.
Pepsodent.
And
you wonder where the yellow went when you brushed your teeth with Pepsodent. Pepsodent.
Apparently he played all the hits of the week. TV didn't come out until 1976. I didn't know TV had come out. But anyway, but the point is
unlike Timmy Alexis Carrington.
That makes sense, though. No, but that does make sense because Bob Holness was born in South Africa.
And how would he really speak, Phil? Opening the door, he said.
Don't know, mate. Anyway, coming up at midday.
Come on.
I'm sorry, but I don't know why you think that just for some reason, because I've got South African heritage, that I don't know how to talk with the South African accent. I find that quite offensive. Yeah.
Ed Grossman is right. After 40 minutes, you haven't done a station ID. Interesting way to hand in your resignation, nonetheless, young man.
No. Excuse me, Ed. I should tell you for why. Is because Russell asked a special request right at the start of today that he would like to do that today, so he did it.
We did it right at the front of the show. Yeah, Ed Grossman. Yeah, you're listening to Men's Radio Station with me, Russ Kane, and Phil Dave, going out live across Deluxe Radio, Radio Waves, out on Twitter, on Facebook, and of course on the Men's Radio Station YouTube channel. And if you go onto YouTube and you can watch us and see us, all the other shows as well, not just the ones that Phil and I do, please hit the subscribe button, press the like button. It means a lot to us. It'll take you 3 seconds. Thank you.
It really does mean a lot to us. If we get enough subscribers, we get paid. Anyway, let's have a look.
That'd be lovely.
Yeah, oh, God, there's a thought. We're only 9,999 subscribers off. Let's have a look at what's coming up on today's program, shall we? At midday today. Well, hopefully we are going to be joined at some stage by Anna Kennedy as well. OBE.
Caught in the wires. No, I got so many freaking wires here. Yesterday I tripped over them and pulled the laptop clean off the desk onto the floor.
And you can visualize it now, can't you? I mean, Eamon and Ruth would turn to each other. Eamon's just about to say, coming up on this morning. And then all of a sudden you get Ruth turn around and say, wait, I'm caught on wires. Hang on.
Yeah, I know.
Unbelievable. Paul Atherton. Now, Paul, we've met before. That he is a social campaigning filmmaker, an artist, and a playwright. And Paul has actually come on to talk about homelessness before because he has been homeless.
He still is.
He's been homeless for 12 years. But what's quite extraordinary about Paul, and I can't wait to find out how the pandemic has affected him. He was, the last time we spoke to him, he told us that he was sleeping at Heathrow.
Yep.
He used to go to terminals.
This guy is extraordinary. Paul Atherton, extraordinary. He's been homeless for God knows how long. So I know you got a mental picture of the guy's immaculate. He's making films, he's making programs, and he's homeless. And he's doing all of this. If you missed when he was last with us, which was God knows how long ago, because we had the studio, very interesting guy. We've also got
Leslie Demisa says, excellent impression, Russ, for those of us in the know. Daniel Cooper at 1 o'clock. Now, Daniel Cooper is a former trader, programmer, serial entrepreneur. Anyhow, he's going to be joining us at 1 o'clock. Now, I have no intention of giving too much away, but let me just say that you don't want to miss what Dan's going to talk about. That's all I'm going to say now. And then
does it involve free money?
At 1:30. I'm saying no more. I can give no more away. At 1:30. Don't miss it. Don't miss it.
1:30.
1:30. We are going to be ending the show
Serene Buffontness
in style, as ever, as the lovely Chantel Rickards would join us.
We need a bet. We need bets because will she wear a scarf today? Will she not wear a scarf today? These are the sort of things we need to know. We could have. Thank you, Leslie. Nice to see you. Have you ever been employed since you left? If so, I wish your new employer all the very best. God, what a scary guy he was. Sue Crestman and Ed Grossman, the MRS app, as Phil always says, and we've been very remiss. Thank you for reminding us, Ed. Jeez, I think you should just come on the board of this station. Download the MRS app, which means on your phone when you're out walking the dog or whatever, you can just you just press it's all free, and you can just listen to the shows. There we go. You can use Facebook, but when you're out and about, Sue, in the car or whatever, you can just download the app and play it through your radio and all that sort of stuff. Yes. Deborah Williams, nice to see you. Nice. Deborah, we haven't mentioned. Are we just going to do game show hosts from the past? Norman Wisdom. Oh, roses grow on you. Marvellous. There we go. Got that one out of the way as well. Norman.
I'm joking.
Norman Wisdom. Oh, idiot. Norman Vaughan. Idiot.
Oh, Norman Vaughan. Oh, good gracious. No, not Norman Vaughan. Yes. Norman Wisdom's one who banged over stuff and trips up on stuff, didn't he?
Oh, I love Norman. Norman Wisdom was fantastic. He's hilarious. Norman Wisdom walked away out of the care home where he was. Isn't the joke? It's true, right? And they couldn't find, I think it was at Brinsworth House. They couldn't find Norman. And yeah, thanks, Stephen. It was Norman. And they can't find Norman Wisdom anywhere. And they go to like a Shell or Esso garage, and he's in the forecourt doing his Norman Wisdom shtick, and everyone's loving it. They say, "Norman, come on, time to go back." He goes, "No, it's going really well." It's just a great showbiz line. No, it's going really well, and he's entertaining people on the forecourt of the petrol station. I thought it was lovely. Oh God, Ed wants to produce a few shows. Ed, if you've got ideas for shows and you can bring sponsors with you, even better. We can have a proper grown-up conversation when I'm not arsing around with Phil, because we can do grown-up stuff as well. I reckon she'll look fab.
I'm not sure.
What?
You say we can do grown up. I'm not sure.
We can do. Of course, we can do. Blimey! What about last week with those two poor women? Oh my God!
Oh yes, actually no, that was a bit.
Ooh! Wow, that was heavy. That was so sad. Oh, jeez. Well, Norman Wisdom is still loved in Albania, says Michael Verby. There's a statue to him. Why am I suddenly big? I don't want to be. Could you just make me normal size, please? I don't want to be big.
Well, I thought that it would be quite.
I don't want this. Could you stop? I don't like it. Thank you. Thank you. Very Fred. I don't look at myself at all.
If you don't like that, you'll love this. Oh dear.
Lovely Demisa says, I'd love to continue listening, but now I have to leave and be surrogate granny to the most gorgeous 2.5-year-old in the world. Don't you mean surrogate mom? I'm raising my eyebrows in a suggestive manner.
What you did there.
Basically, I'm raising my eyebrows in a very...
You're implying lovely Demisa isn't old enough to be a grandmother.
Precisely so. I don't know why she's pretending to be a grandmother. Yeah.
I see what you did there. No, I think that was very nice. That's what we call very smooth.
I'd like to think so. Do you know, I had a lovely thing happen to me this week, which was that my old school friend, Nick Benciential, Kweji Agre Aqua Benciential, as he was, originally from Ghana, and he always used to be in my place with mom and dad, or I'd be at his place with his mom and everything. And I haven't seen him. I can tell you the last time I saw him, 1971. And he emailed me. And I sent him, and I dragged my sorry ass off to the post office yesterday. He wanted to see my book. And I sent him a copy of The Gatekeeper. And there he is out in Ghana. And brought back very happy memories. He and I were just... we were very good friends, and I was very good friends, with the family and everything like that. And I'm wondering if I should go in this. Obviously, he's black, obviously, because he's from Ghana. And he was the funniest guy, did the most brilliant impressions. We played in the same band together. We were like inseparable buddies, right? And somebody once said to me, "Oh, did you know, were you making I said, "No, we just saw Nick. It was just Nick. We didn't see we genuinely didn't see anything else. We just saw Nick, and Nick saw us. And that was a beautiful thing. And that's how it should be. And that's seriously how it was. I don't think but some of the teachers, where are you going now? You don't. Well, what are you doing now?
Well, no, because there's no collar watch this week, is there?
You're like an irritating kid in the back of the car who won't sit still. God damn.
Well, I know, but that's the
what
way
are you going to do now? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Make pork loin or something in the kitchen?
Obviously, over pasta? Yeah, brilliant. I'll make pork loin. So,
we can pass your mother to up the ladder, painting the hall. That'd be hilarious.
Well, no, I thought you'd like to see Matza watch. There you go. Look, I mean, because there's no collar watch this week. So instead,
what are you going to show me a packet of Matzas?
There we go.
Go to a shop.
There's Matza watch. Anyway, so there you go. I mean, I know.
Go back again if you've done all that again. Just show the shot again. Go back. Do the shot again.
There you go. There you go. That's not to watch.
What have you got? You got a box. You've got a Perspex box.
Well, just in case we're unsure of what it is, I mean, it could be very easily confused.
Could be misconstrued as a Volkswagen Beetle or something.
So it's got to be called Mozza.
So you've got your own designated Perspex box to put giant crackers in.
I'm being told I can't
there's
eat
your mother
Mozza on air.
Why she stop painting, lazy woman? Get up that ladder, Linda. Yeah. Can you see Phil doing a cooking show? He'd be so irritating. Everyone would vote for him because he's so annoying. Oh my
God, I'd love it.
Yeah, of course you would.
Can't
what
cook,
is it?
But I'd love to do it.
Well, how would that work?
The question is, how Jewish can I get?
This is really going to be annoying. Already, I'm already really annoyed. I'm getting more annoyed. What are you? Why are you doing this? We're gonna do. You're in Autism Awareness Week, and you're buggering around with hot. What is it?
I mean, you say buggering about, but to be honest,
what are you doing? Swear to God, I swear.
But hang on, but
there's trouble with my own kids. What is that?
The dog's just been sick. If you say that, but hang on a
second. What, in that bowl?
That was very good. That was very good. I like that. Well done. Oh, dear. That's why you get paid the big bucks.
Fanny Dave. God. That's great. Call him Fanny Dave. Oh, God.
Hilarious. Anyway,
your mother's on patrol. You don't get this on Radio 4, do you?
Well,
there's your father turning up. Christ, all that's missing is your sister.
There you go. Right, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. No Mozza. There's no holiday. So instead, we've got Mozza with chopped herring. There we go. Isn't that nice?
It's lovely.
Happy party.
I can't get it. I can't get it here. I can't. How big is that cracker? Bloody huge, Deborah. It's enormous. That's a massive cream cracker, Phil, or do you have small hands? He's got very tiny hands, but everything's in tiny proportion. You know what I mean? So there we go.
Are you quite all right, Russell?
I don't know. Look, if I die, the cash is under the. Right. So, yes, that is a. Stephen Marsh is already upset and seeing what a selfish, self-centered bastard you are. Oh, Phil, leave some chopped herring for your parents. You've polished it off. He doesn't care.
But my mother doesn't eat it, and my father's eaten most of that tub. In fact, this is the first time I've actually had chopped herring this week. So
you're going to now chomp it. If you're going to be chomping, I don't know. Now, what time are we welcoming Anna Kennedy, OBE? Because she has a guest as well. So that's all coming up. Huh? So this is driving me insane. If you choke on that, it'll serve you right. Is Anna Kennedy on standby? Does she know we're here? What's going on? What? That's why the dog got sick. He started the chopped herring, probably. I have to say I actually like it, but I only eat it about once a year because you want drugs around where I live. It's like a pharmacy. Whatever you want. But if you want chopped herring or chopped liver, forget it. Can't find it within about God knows how many miles.
I've sent Anna Kennedy the link, so there you go.
There we go. That's the noisiest food for radio. You're not jiving, Junior. I'm going to send her the link. Could you stop? I swear to God, I am going to jump in the car, drive to Hertfordshire, and punch you in the throat if you don't stop this. It's driving me mad. It was bad enough when you had the holler, but at least it was soft. This is like... Why don't you just rip some paper up while you're at it? Get some cardboard and start ripping the whole thing. Driving. Just insane. How can you not get through a show? I've never seen me. All I do is just have a sip of water.
Oh, Paul Atherton, help me out.
Hey, how are you doing?
There, Paul.
How the hell are you?
Are you guys arguing already?
Well, we've been arguing for an hour because he gets on my nerve. Ladies and gentlemen,
he says arguing. Paul, no, it's not my fault. Okay, you don't understand, Paul. He has this showtime, right? For some ridiculous reason, he thinks it's a good idea to broadcast right in the middle of lunch, and he gets surprised when I get hungry.
Paul, please don't encourage. Please don't encourage it. Now, Paul, I couldn't help but notice you're not sitting. It doesn't look like you're sitting in Heathrow. It looks like where you're sitting is quite nice.
Yeah, it's reasonably nice. It's here in central London in Marylebone, which is nice.
Yeah.
I like that. And not Heathrow, which is also very nice.
Have you moved now? Explain in a few words, Paul, because we had you in the studio, and Phil and I were totally astounded by your story, which is why we were pleased to have you back. What? Imagine if Phil was a pilot during lunch. Well, you'd have one flight with him. That'd be the end of that. So, Paul, explain briefly your story so that everyone can catch up with this.
Okay, so I've been homeless for 12 years. For the last 2 years, I've been using Heathrow Airport as my bedroom. And when lockdown happened last year in March...
Walk through. Don't just gloss over that, because everyone's going, what did he just say? So please, to you it's normal, but to everybody else is going, this is extraordinary. And so we want to hear it, because I want you to share.
You want me to go all the way back to the beginning?
Well, do you know what? I'd be honored if you would, and I'll tell you why. Because
Sure.
It was such a stunning story, and now we've got listeners all over the world, and we go out on other radio stations as well. So it's a whole new audience. So Paul, please, if you would.
Okay. So I moved to London. I lived on the river predominantly. I started off by Tower Bridge, went up to Vauxhall Bridge, and finally landed in an apartment just behind the Royal Festival Hall on the South Bank in central London. I'd been there 2 years, and I was due to renew my tenancy, as is the want, generally speaking. And I did what everybody would do. I did a bit of due diligence on my credit file, and discovered that there was this erroneous information, this error on my file. And annoyingly, this was an error of having someone's debt apportioned to my name that I'd had investigated 4 years prior and had removed from my credit file. So when it came back up again, I knew what had happened. Somebody had sold the debt to someone else. And that new company had apportioned it to my credit file again. But my expectation this time round was I was going to get back to Experian and Equifax and go, hey, this isn't me. Get it off my file, because it's impacting my credit score.
This debt.
It's impacting my credit score. So instead of me being what I should have been, a gold or a green, depending on which score you use, but the best score you can have, I'm an absolute don't touch this guy with a 10-foot barge pole risk.
Right.
So my landlord can't renew until I've got a decent credit score. Experian and Equifax both went, yeah, we're not fixing that. I'm like, well, no. Yeah, well, you see, the debt collection agency don't want us to fix it. And I'm like, I really don't care what the debt collection agency are.
No, I get that.
I'd like to renew my tenancy. And eventually, after much gnashing of teeth, they said, right, you'll have to complain to the Information Commissioner's Office, the ICO, which is what I did. I wrote a complaint, gave them all the background data.
This is a huge amount of money, Paul.
Yeah, it was not huge, about 50 grand or something. A reasonable amount of money, certainly not huge.
Well, that's all right. Okay.
But sufficient enough to completely decimate your credit score if you've got a 50 grand debt.
I get that.
Yeah. So I go to the Information Commissioner's Office, the ICO. They say to me, Mr. Atherton, it'll take us 28 days to investigate, and if you're right, which we believe you are, we will then ask the credit files to correct their error. And I was like, what do you mean ask? The Information Commissioner's Office. They were like, yeah, well, we don't really have any teeth. So we can't really do anything more than ask them if they put it right. But anyway, I thought, well, that would be enough. They'll do that. But it took the Information Commissioner's Office 18 months. 18 months to get back to me with a letter saying, dear Mr. Atherton, we're sorry in the delay. Well, 18 months,
not 2 weeks. 2 weeks or 10 days turns into 18 months.
yeah, 28 days, General. 28 days
What
for
the hell? I have to ask, what were they doing for 18 months?
Well, according to this letter, they were backlogged with complaints.
With complaints?
Yeah. So, you know, a load of people have clearly gone, we've had enough of this credit file nonsense. Can you please sort our credit files out? And just by the volume, sheer volume, this was where the delay was created. Which meant that I couldn't renew my tenancy, and this basically, in essence, was the start of my homelessness journey. This was in 2009, and the stress of this whole situation. I suffer with a disability called chronic fatigue syndrome, or MECFS, as people most know it by mainly, and that put me into hospital. And I was in hospital for 3 months. And when I was discharged from hospital, again, after much gnashing of teeth and rows and debates with a whole plethora of people, from social workers and discharge teams and homeless officers in local authorities, I was finally placed in a homeless hostel in Brixton. But because I was in hospital, the DWP decided that I wasn't entitled to my disability benefits.
Sorry, so you're in hospital, but you're not entitled to disability.
Well, the way the logic works, right, is the DWP go, well, you're being fed by the state because taxpayer pays for the NHS. This is how they think. I mean, it's a nonsense argument, but and because you're in there, we will take money away from your DWP. And it's like, all right, if I was in work and I was getting sick pay, you wouldn't deduct my sick pay because I was in the hospital. But apparently, it's fine with your welfare. Which meant that it took me 2 years of battling to get this money back, which meant I didn't have even the £10 a week I needed to cover the accommodation that I was in. And at this stage, I was bedbound and then latterly wheelchair bound. So this wasn't like I could move around. I was totally reliant on carers to begin with. And then I could sort of wheel myself around in my wheelchair.
Because of your chronic fatigue syndrome?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So chronic fatigue at its very worst makes you completely bedridden and unable to move or speak, which is a toughie.
Now, Paul, I have to ask, there's two things that spring to mind straight up. First and foremost, the letter that you said that you were sent by that organization.
The ICO, yeah.
Yeah, where did they send it to?
Yeah. So I actually received the letter via email.
Right.
It came as an attachment.
Okay.
But the address that was on it was my previous address, obviously.
And then the only other thing to point out, and I'm so sorry to do this to you live on air, but currently waiting in our digital green room, we have the lovely Anna Kennedy and a special guest as well. Now, because this show is bursting at the seams, I'm wondering whether or not, so we've got a couple of choices here. If Anna and Ethan, our guests, are prepared to hang on in there for a few more minutes longer, we can speak to you in a moment. Or, what are you doing later, Paul?
No, seriously, what are you doing later?
Nothing at the moment.
Excellent.
Right. What I think we should do, because I know, because it's World Autism Awareness Day, right, what I'd like to do, if I can, Paul, and I'm sorry to give you the bum's rush, because the comments, you have exploded here on our comments page. It's just unbelievable. Everybody's like feeling this very big time and really relating. Can we get you back?
Let's speak in like 12. Is that okay?
12:30.
Yeah, 12:30. Could you do that?
Yeah.
No problem.
All right?
Top man. You, Paul.
Try not to get ill again, and try not to get into a row with the government again, and try not to get thrown out of wherever you are. And we'll be back at 12:30 because this is an amazing story. Okay?
Lovely.
Bless you.
See you later, guys.
And push it out on social media, please, Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Okay. So now, as we were saying just now, or as Ross was saying, sorry, that it is autism awareness. And we've got the lovely Anna Kennedy, who is, well, frankly, Anna, a very warm welcome and good afternoon to you.
Hello, guys. How are you?
Yeah,
we're all right. Now, just that is one of my favorite tops of yours. Number one. That's the important
Do you want to
thing.
borrow it?
No, I don't swing that way. Still might. I don't know. I'm not for me. And well, you can have it dry cleaned, then we can talk about it. And then secondly, There were presumably no tap dancing, because one of the great things, before we get into why you're here, and I noticed you haven't put OBE after your name, because it's Anna Kennedy, OBE, is you are a terrific tap dancer.
Oh, I love my tap dancing. I started tap dancing when I was about 6 years old, and it was because of one of my teachers at school. I was constantly tapping my feet under the desk, and I used to drive the teacher mad. So she said to my mum, "Oh, there's a tap dancing class just down the road." She said, "I think your daughter would benefit from going, and it'll just show you how long ago it was. It was sixpence a class."
Sixpence, bless God. You can't have a box of chocolates for sixpence, but you can have a bag of Revels.
No,
and also, you're a fan. I got to say, because normally when you're on, it's all very serious, and I know this is serious too. But you post a lot of. I mean, we chit chat, you and I, because obviously you broadcast on Women's Radio Station, one of our first broadcasters, and you do a fantastic job. But you're a brilliant dancer as well, because you post these videos of you leaping around your home and everything, and I was going, blimey, I wasn't expecting that, but it's very impressive. I can't dance for toffee.
It's my downtime, because everything's autism related. Everything I do, I'm so driven, I'm so focused. But you need to have downtime, and this is what I say to parents. We have a campaign called Take 5, and we the parents are the linchpin for families who have children on the spectrum. So for me, my dancing, I can just not think about anything. It's good exercise. It's good for your well-being. It's good for mental health. So that's why, and you're never too old to dance. Never too old.
Well, Anna, I'm very pleased you said that about never too old to dance, because someone who's most certainly not too old to dance is a very special guest that we've got thanks to you. He's patiently waiting in the digital green room, and his name is Ethan Cumsey, and he joins us. So, Ethan, very good afternoon to you.
Hello, Ethan. You're looking so well.
Thank you.
You look great. And Ethan, thank you for not having bookshelves behind you. And thank you to you, Anna, not having bookshelves, because God knows.
I know. Who have a bookshelf behind them?
Right. Now let's cut to the chase, folks.
Ethan, can I ask, sorry, because I think there's a bit of feedback here. You don't by any chance have earphones you can sit in, have you? You don't? Okay, right. In that case, bring the phone a bit nearer to you. Bring the phone a bit nearer so we can work it out. Anywho.
All right. We'll give that a go. So today is, Anna Kennedy. Today is...
Oh, sorry. It's World Autism Awareness Day. However, people in the autism community want it to be called World Autism Acceptance Day. And the reason being, there's a lot of awareness raising that's been going on throughout the years. And what we're asking as the autism community is to be Autism Acceptance Day. And also there's some suggestions of Autism Pride Day, to be proud of being autistic. What do you think, Ethan? Definitely. So Ethan's one of my charity ambassadors.
Oh, well done. Well done.
Do you mind if I ask? I know this sounds a bit daft, but I wasn't aware that people hadn't accepted autism. Is that a thing? Ethan, do you feel like people don't accept if someone has autism?
Well, that depends on how they see it, really.
And what's your personal experience, though? Have you had anyone sort of imply anything to you that might be the way they feel?
No, I've got supportive people all around me.
So Anna, you had an issue this week because somebody said something to you, which I saw in a tweet, and then they came up and apologized afterwards. Am I right? Am I mixing that up?
Yeah, that was when I was walking with Angelo in the park.
Angelo,
we go to the park. As you know, I always post about what I'm doing with my son, more with Angelo, because my oldest son likes to be a little bit more private. And Angelo and I go on long walks, and it's a great stress buster. And I suppose since lockdown, it's got a lot busier. So it makes it a little bit more stressful for families who've got kids or adults on the spectrum. And I've spoken to many mums, they say we normally go to the park, but now because of lockdown, we have to go really early in the morning. So it's not too busy. You can't find a place to park, all that sort of thing. And I get people if they need to go out, but it just makes it that little bit more difficult for families who've got kids. And Angelo and I, we're out, we're trying to find a car parking space, and it was like 9:30. I thought, I can't believe how busy the car park is. So what I wanted to do was do a 3-point turn to try and see if I could find a place for us to park. And this chap that was at the park, he's obviously a volunteer, and we've been to this park numerous times, and he just knocked on the window and he said, "What do you think you're doing?" I said, "I'm trying to find a space." I said, "We come to this park regularly. My son is autistic." And he just said, "Oh, you people, you think you can do whatever you like." I thought,
Oh my God.
you people. And I just thought, I
You
need to remain
people.
calm. I know I need to remain calm because Angela was in the back. I thought I don't want him to get distressed. Because even though he has minimal verbal skills, he picks up on the way I'm feeling. So I just said, "Okay, thank you." And the only thing I did say to him is, "There's no need to be so rude." So what I did was I finally did find a space. And then when I went to the little cafe to get our coffee and, sausage sandwich like Angela always has, Angela was a little bit stressed. He was jumping up and down. And then the chap came behind us to get a coffee. And then he just said, "Excuse me." I said, "Yes." He said, "I just wanted to apologise. I didn't realise your son was as autistic," type of thing. And I thought, does that make any difference? But I just graciously said, "Thank you very much. Thanks for the, apology."
It's several things there, Anna, isn't it? One, he was just plain bloody rude. Two, to say anyone who says, "Oh, you people," you've lost me at that point. Now I don't want to know you, but at least he had the courtesy to come up and say, "Hey, I'm sorry."
Yeah, he got a brownie point for me for that.
No, that's at least it's a decent thing to do. I was in my pet shop, not the pet shop, it's like the big pet superstore, and a lady came in with her daughter, and I'm just looking at the shelves, which dog food to get and all of that, and the daughter just mouthed off at me, and obviously was autistic, and was a teenager, and really gave me an old mouthful. So I didn't react because I could see where this was going, and much of it because of watching you and listening to you, Anna. I've got to be honest with you. You've shown the way, and
thank you.
Because before you, it's not an area I'm not going to pretend I know all about it. I didn't. It's through watching Anna Kennedy OBE and listening to her shows and reading all about her stuff that's educated me. And then when I'm paying for my stuff at the checkout, it's Pets at Home. It's a huge cavern of a place.
Oh yeah.
And the mother came out and said, "I'm so sorry." I said, "There's absolutely no need to apologize." And then I explained about you, and I said, "No, and we have this woman on the radio, and Anna Kennedy, blah, blah." And I said, "There's no need to apologize. I totally understand it." I think she was a bit surprised that, I wasn't sort of, but you got to make allowances.
So Ethan, because you're here and I know you're excited to be here, Ethan's written a rap for Autism Awareness Day, Autism Acceptance Day for us. And he's a very powerful lyricist. And I'm very proud of Ethan. I'm proud of all my charity champions, all my ambassadors. And Ethan is 18 years old. He's autistic. And he is the most amazing stomp dancer. Like, he puts every ounce of his being into his routines. We all love him, watching him perform on stage, and he comes alive on stage, and you just can't take your eyes off him. So, Ethan, can you tell me, how do you feel when you're dancing, when you're doing stomp? What does it make you feel like? Can you pull yourself a little bit closer to the mic, please, Ethan? Right, close up.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, better.
Now. Go on.
Ethan, can I ask? I'm so sorry to interrupt. Have you got music playing in the background or something like that?
I don't.
Okay, sorry. Okay, do keep going.
Yeah, basically, when I dance, I feel empowered to be the person that I am. Being autistic and just being.
So how have you been coping through lockdown?
Been coping very well and being productive as well. Doing music, lots of college work, and some dancing, and sometimes some art as well.
So can you remember your very first performance on Autism's Got Talent?
In 2016, alongside friends of my old dance group called Wiggles Dance Club in Essex. And then from there, I literally just found more opportunities to do better performances than I've already done before.
And you're also part of Autism with Attitude?
Shout out to Jonathan J. Barron.
Ethan, I tell you what we're going to do, because the sound sounds terrible and we really want to hear what you've got to say. So what we're going to do is Russ and Anna are going to have a chat, and you and I, my friend, are going to disappear from view, and we're going to sort out the technicals. So hold that thought, Russ and Anna.
Is that okay, Ethan? Yeah.
It's only because it's so important that we want to hear, especially if he's going to do
I
a rap.
want to give Ethan a voice. That's the whole point
of course.
this. As you know,
course.
as a
So
charity, I want to give everybody who's autistic a voice, and hence why I take whoever I can, whatever opportunity I'm given, to give them a voice on radio or whatever it is that I'm doing. So I really want you to hear Ethan. He's an amazing young man. And
of course, if anybody can sort out the tech on this, it will be Phil, and I'm sure he will come back. And thank you, Sarah M. Knowles. Do you know Sarah M. Knowles? Is this one of your gang?
Probably. I know a lot of people.
The rest of you need to mute yourself when Ethan is talking. Can't wait to hear Ethan, says Glassy Amanda. No, I know we're not speaking when Ethan's on. It's simply because if you don't have earphones, what happens is the sound comes out of the phone, or it comes out of the speakers of the laptop, and it goes into a horrible sort of seventh ring of hell. Now, Autism's Got Talent, Kimmy Lashmar is making the point, one of our regulars. Autism's Got Talent has had some amazingly gifted people. Tell us about it, Anna.
Autumn's Got Talent, we will be celebrating 10 years this year, and it's the highlight of the charity's year. We have had so many fantastic performers, children, adults, from all across the United Kingdom and also from overseas. So Canada, we've had America, we've had Italy, France, Croatia, and we've had so many talented performers. And we're really keeping our fingers crossed that we're going to be able to do it in October at the Mermaid Theatre. And it all started because of my anti-bullying campaign, Give Us a Break.
Now, I'm so sorry. I know this is the most professional thing you've ever heard on live radio, but I've just realised I have no contact information for Ethan whatsoever, because Anna, you very kindly arranged for Ethan to join us today. So what I need is either for you or Ethan, if you can hear this, what I need you to do is to, using the private message chat, please make sure it's the private message chat on the StreamYard software that you see, is just send me your telephone number, Ethan. Make sure it's the private message. I'm so sorry. I know that's riveting stuff for our listeners, but there's no other way. I don't have any way of contacting Ethan.
You okay to do that, Ethan? Yeah? He's doing it now, I can see. He's concentrating.
Okay. In that case, we'll be back.
Everybody wants to hear this. Sarah Knowles is saying, I'm autistic, late diagnosis only 2 years ago. I'm also into songwriting, performing and recording. I'm 50 now, so probably too old. Sarah, you are never
No, we're not
You're
too
never
old.
too old. Sarah, I'm saying this is a slight aside. Forget autism for a second. You're never too old to do anything. The trick is to just start doing it. And if you enjoy it, even if you do it for yourself, if you just do it for yourself, it's worthwhile. It's true. It's a great thing.
The performers we've had on stage, we've had a lady from Sweden who's 44 years old. She taught herself how to play the acoustic guitar. She was amazing, and it only took her 2 years. And she came on stage and she played. She got a standing ovation. We had another young lady when we did the roadshow in Liverpool. Was 50. She was singing from a musical. So no, you're never too old. So please, if you'd like to contact us, all the information's on the charity website. We will start recruiting for new talent next year. Please check out the charity website.
Anna, walk me through this, because when somebody's autistic, when they go on stage, do they become, and I know you well enough to say this, I'm not putting it in the most elegant term, almost somebody else? Suddenly this extraordinary, rich vein of talent comes forth, and they tap into some amazing talent that they've got. Is that what happens?
They can do. And what happens is that when they send us in their audition, and usually it's from their bedroom or whatever it is that they record the audition, and we have so many different variety of acts, so singing, dancing, musicians, bands, magicians, poets, you name it. It's a variety of performers.
Wow.
Yeah, amazing. And what happens is then it's so hard for us to choose 20 performers from across the country and overseas. And then what happens is we send them as much information as we possibly can. So it's less daunting, if you like, because if we have to put a show on in 2 days, so it's like Friday night, they come along, meet and greet. So they meet us all, they go on the stage, they look at the dressing rooms, we send them as much information as possible. And then on the day, it's the technical rehearsal. So all my team come together and we all support the performers. And then we have some of the past performers who volunteer as well, so they can talk to them about what the experience has been like. And then when they're doing the technical rehearsals, sometimes they look a little bit like rabbit in headlights, if you like, because it might be the first time on stage. But then when they perform, they've stepped it like up 200, 5,000%. And it's just like, wow, you know, and you can see how proud.
Do you sit there going, where did that come from?
I know, and it's like
it's incredible, isn't it?
And what I love to see is when they get the applause and the standing ovation, it's how they puff their chest out and they smile, and it's like, I've been accepted, you know, it's given me a platform to do other things, and then they want to do it again. So it's amazing. I love it.
It's a beautiful thing, and all hats off to you. All congratulations. Was it your idea?
Yeah.
Now, I'm pleased to say that we've sort of sorted the technology. Sadly, we won't be able to see Ethan, but we will be able to hear him as he's on the phone now. So, Ethan, you can open it now.
Hi, Ethan.
Hello there.
There we go.
Right. So let's go back to how you feel when you're dancing on stage. What does it make you feel like?
To do what I do.
Yes.
And being autistic.
How does it feel when you're on stage, Ethan?
It feels amazing.
So with reference to your stomp, you create the steps yourself. Oh, no.
What?
Can we hear him? Is he gone again?
He's still there.
No.
All right.
I think Ethan's still there. Anna, would you like to ask the questions? I think it's best if you, because you know Ethan, maybe it's best for this little segment if you would ask the questions. I think he
Is
might.
that okay with you, Ethan? Ethan, can you hear me?
No.
No.
Well, technology-wise, Ethan's still there, but I don't know if Ethan can still hear us. But there you go. Okay. Oh well, what a shame. Don't think.
Can we put him back on as in to try and see him at least?
I don't know if technology is going to be on our side with this one. We can certainly give it a shot. So, Ethan, hopefully you heard.
Maybe if he puts his mouth right close up to the telephone, I want to give him the opportunity. I don't want to give in. You know me, I don't give in for anything.
No, we know. I know. All right, we'll give it another pop.
Please give it another go.
Give it another pop, and if Ethan could put his mouth literally right up to there he go. All right.
Right, Ethan, come right up close to the screen, okay? Because when you're closer to the screen, you won't get an echo, so as close as you can. Is that all right? So do you want to give it a go now? Say hi. Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Ethan,
we can't hear you.
Why can't you hear you? Technology is clearly not on our side with this one.
There we are.
All right, here we go. Right, so Ethan, talk to me about how you feel when you're dancing on stage.
Feeling empowered to do what I do, and how unique I feel I be when it comes to dancing and being autistic.
Okay, so how has lockdown been for you?
It's been very good for me. I've been productive in doing music and doing college work, in dance, and sometimes artwork as well.
Okay, so you got a scholarship with Pineapple Performing Arts Studio.
Yes.
How was that for you?
It felt really good. I didn't think I was going to get to that point, but I managed to. And then I applied, and then I've got the scholarship since then.
That was through the charity. So we gave 8 scholarships to young people, and that was for singing, dancing, and drama. So now everyone's become friends.
Yes.
So, Ethan.
Yeah.
What do you want to do to promote autism awareness and acceptance?
Through music and sharing some posts and quotes on social media to help people understand autism better.
And what do you think the hurdles are?
How people would perceive autism from when they heard about it the first time and then over to now.
Do you think anything's changed throughout the years?
More people have become supportive towards autistic people.
Okay. So
Anna, because the sound is so iffy, could we have, if we both, well, I keep muting my mic, and I'm sure Phil and you should as well. If we could hear Ethan's rap, which I know he's written specially, that would be marvelous. So I'm going to mute my mic again, so there's no extra noise. And then if you could speak to Ethan, that would be great.
Is that okay? So Ethan, are you ready to do your rap?
Yeah. Listen. Look. Listen. Can't find myself in distress again the same way that most of my genes be ripped. And there wouldn't be days where I wouldn't be okay. Why? Because I'm autistic. When I cost came in the world being autistic. There's a reason I'm raising awareness here. Shout out to Anna Kennedy. We're still hungry for change, but they think that's just the game like Katniss 17. Some of us will not be able to go outside because we might not know other people. But I find it good and I find it great that we have supportive people. I'll live in push for good. It's okay to be different. It's the message I push. It's okay to be you. It's the message I push. Just to state that everyone's good. It's okay to be you. It's okay to be unique. It's okay for you to think differently. This is more than a disability. It's a superpower that runs in our genes, no DNA. Yet people look at this and way I will still fight to positive change. And that's the bit they were safe. But the drugs within us are never going away. Yet people look at this in a different way. I will still fight to positive change. And that's to make sure they were safe. But the struggles within us are never going away. How many people did we avoid and how many crowds made so much noise? There's also autistic girls and not just autistic boys. Some of us would not have a voice and others are still finding their voices to express themselves in a way to block all of these unwanted noise. Life has never been sunshine and rainbows. It will bring thunder and lightning. It will bring clouds and rainfall, but we are blessed for the helpful guidance for everyone around us. But there's others who try to doubt us. But let's get away from those type of people that wanted to doubt us. Vulnerability is not an option, and that's something that cannot be mocked. That's for the bullies to hear. You need to know that life. So look, give us a break like the campaign, so that everyone feels okay. Give us a break like the campaign, so that everyone feels okay. It's okay to be a different person. That is the message I'm pushing. Just so you know that we can do it. Knowing that we put our minds to it. Even though life will treat us differently at times, we still manage to get through it. Even though life will treat us differently at times, we still manage to get through it. I'm done.
Good Lord.
Well done. That was. We got, you see, Anna Kennedy doesn't give up. Phil never gives up with tech, and I just never give up with life. So there we are. Anna, if we want to know more about you, apart from the fact that everyone should be listening to your show on Women's Radio Station, of course, how do they get hold of you and everything?
So the charity is www.annakennedyonline.com. If you'd like to watch Ethan, we've just put it up on our latest news page, and there's also all the words to the lyrics and also a little bit of background about Ethan on the page. We've got lots of events, and I'm always on social media sharing whatever it is that I'm doing, trying to raise as much awareness and acceptance as I possibly can. You know, you can't please everyone, but I do the best that I possibly can, and I do it with every ounce of my energy. And as you know, a lot of the time I don't sleep. I've been up since 3:30 this morning. Yay! Because my son doesn't sleep very much. So,
Lord. Well, Angela doesn't sleep. Well,
no, he never has for 28 years.
Wow. Blimey. Well, you still look great in it. Don't know how you do it. I really don't know how you do it at all. I don't know how. I mean, you and I were speaking on the phone the other day, and it was like I was thinking, wow, this is just an average day for Anna Kennedy, and I came away feeling about this big, you know. Anna, thank you so much. Ethan, bless you. Thank you so much for being here on Men's Radio. Thank you so much for your rap. Thank you for your patience. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you so.
Thank you. Happy Easter, everyone.
Thank you
Happy
so much.
Easter.
And happy Easter to both of you. Bless you.
Bye, Ethan.
Bye. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, Anna Kennedy has an OBE. She is a freaking force of nature. She's amazing. Sarah Knoll says, poor Anna. Chrissy Holt says, good, Ethan. Well done, Ethan, from Deborah Williams. Deborah Williams, let's accept change and be the difference. Everyone has a part to play. Absolutely darn right. Francine Warner says, brilliant. I'm so pleased you like that, Franny. Sarah Knowles, brilliant, Ethan. Loved your rap. I hope it's been inspiring, Sarah, for you. We've got Emma Webb. Wow, Ethan. Kiss, kiss, kiss. One amazing rap. Make more music, darling. We will plug your work. It's a superpower, says Kimmy Lashmar. And Glassy Amanda. Preach, Ethan. Bravo. Keep your voice loud and proud. And so many more. Wow, so many comments. Thank you.
Now, earlier on, we were speaking to the marvelous Paul Anderson, and we had to give him a little elbow because we sort of, well, I'm going to be perfectly honest, there was a bit of double booking that went on, okay? So just bear with us. It's the way we roll. It's fine. It's what happens when you don't have a dedicated producer all the time. So anyhow, let us go back to Paul now, who is in the green room waiting patiently. Welcome back, Paul.
Hello again, chaps. That was wonderful, wasn't it? I was really quite awed by Ethan there.
It is quite amazing how somebody goes from being almost monosyllabic, and then you give them a stage or give them the space to do what they do, and this other person emerges with such fluidity and so articulate and passionate. Life never ceases to amaze me. I'll be honest, life never ceases to amaze me, which is why we're so pleased to have you back. And thank you for being patient with us.
Oh, not so.
It was Phil's being very polite. I completely ballsed it up. It's my fault. Anyway, there we are. I thought I'd done certain things and I hadn't. But
we can roll with the punches, chaps. It's kind of where my life always is.
You know what, Paul? We're trying to spin so many plates on so many sticks like the circus act. Occasionally the plates wobble. There we are. That's life. Get over it. So you've now, because of this complete balls up with the credit rating, and then the people, instead of 28 days, take 18 months. Then they've taken away from Department of Work and Pensions, DWP, that they've taken away your money because, you've had the audacity to be so ill, you're in hospital, so they're feeding you in hospital, so they don't need to pay you anything because obviously you're getting fabulous hospital food. Where are we now on this? This is just ridiculous.
I get discharged to a homeless hostel in Brixton, and because my benefits have stopped, I now have to appeal decisions. This takes about 12 months, so I'm without money for 12 months.
God.
And as I said earlier, I was bedbound and then latterly wheelchair bound. So Lambeth Council, who own the property, this is a really important thing. So it's not like Lambeth Council are paying a private landlord. They own the accommodation that I was in. So in essence, to pay themselves was an accounting transaction. It was going from one department to another. So the fact that I wasn't getting my housing benefit, they could clearly see, well, he probably should be, and we should carry on housing him. But they didn't. They decided instead to wheel me out to the street and let me get on with life again. At which point I decided to live in my car.
Well, don't gloss over that. I'm sorry. They decided to just tell you to get lost and you're on the street and that's it.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Jeez.
You didn't pay your contribution. You're being awkward. Yeah, this is the usual sort of tirade that you will get from local authorities. That people seem to think there's this sort of accommodating, we're here to help attitude, and
no,
it isn't.
Not.
It's a real war.
Monkeys.
Yeah, absolutely. It's yeah. It is absolutely the worst of humanity for me when you get into these situations. But yeah, so I was, as I say, I was evicted from that accommodation because I eventually got my DWP back, but they didn't pay me all that they owed me. I think it was they owed me about $3,500 and they paid me $2,000.
God's sake.
But you have no rights. This is the big problem. So you'll go to an appeal, you'll win the appeal. The judge says, yes, the DWP should reinstate your money and backdate it to whenever they stopped it. But that's where it ends. You have no enforcement. You can't then go, and get a sort of a CCJ against the DWP. You can't get enforcement officers banging on the chief exec's door. So if they don't do what they're supposed to do, that's it. Sorry, Phil.
I was just going to say, it's absolutely bizarre. There are so many flaws with this country, which actually leads to an increase in what is ultimately homelessness, because all that you've explained there is all clearly faults in the system, right? Faults in the system, which means that people like you and others who have been in a very similar situation are just sort of left to fend for yourself. It's as simple as that. Whether you like it or not, you'll be fine. Off you go. Do what you will. That's one of them. And then the other thing that I always bang on about, which, don't get me wrong, if it weren't for my amazing parents, there's no doubt in my mind I'd suffer a similar sort of fate, because I've got a black mark against my name for rent. Because I technically can't rent at the moment because we fell out with our last landlords. It was, long story short, is that where we are now, the family home, to where we were previously, in between, we rented somewhere. Turned out the landlords were just revolting individuals who unfortunately used the system as best as they could to somehow make me look like the bad guy, despite the fact that the boiler was condemned. I'll leave it at that. Anyway, the point is that that means now that I wouldn't be able to rent somewhere. Okay, there's just a black mark against my name. It's as simple as that. I've looked into it and it's just a no-go. So if it weren't for my parents, I'd be out on my ear, because the other problem we've got is the lending system is so broken. Because the lending system is told, it's regulated so that you can only borrow about 4 to possibly 4.5 times the person's income. And even then, it must be contracted income. It mustn't be freelance income. If it's freelance income, technically it doesn't count. So all of these flaws means that if it weren't for my family, there's no doubt about it, I'd be homeless as well. So it's all of these things which is just disgusting. What's the matter with us as a first world country?
We're not. This is it.
We're not.
The reason, Paul, why I'm so keen, and I was so keen to have you back from when we had the studio, and you amazed both Phil and myself and the listeners, was this: the great myth about here. It's much worse than America, but let's just deal with Britain. All right. The great myth is you'll be okay. There's this fabulous safety net, and if everything goes horribly wrong in your life, there's a safety net, don't worry. And you are the living embodiment of everything that I fear. There is no safety net. You will fall straight through it, and they don't care. And then you become what is terrifying, a non-person. You're just not a person anymore. You're some bullshit statistic, and every department says, well, it wasn't me. Oh, no, it wasn't me. And then the next department says it wasn't me. And you see some poor sod lying on Charing Cross Road, and you think, how did this happen? At some point, this is a baby. Yeah, but this is it, Paul. This is it.
I think you make a really, really important point, because I've always been of two minds about this. You either have a welfare system that works and works brilliantly, or you have nothing at all, and it's dog eat dog. This halfway house that we have is the worst possible scenario for everybody, because, as you say, I mean, when I was self-employed, when I was in my 20s, I was in university. I'd set up a company, and I was asked by the government, would I like to pay additional national insurance contributions? Now, you can imagine, right, a 20-year-old, this is beer money. This is drinking money. This is going out money. But I thought, I'm going to be the grown-up. I'm going to be the sensible, and I will pay this additional money to ensure that I have the full national insurance protections, not just the self-employed national insurance protections. And of course, when you come to claim, they're like, well, this is taxpayers' money. And it's like, no, this is my
money I'd like back that you asked me to pay.
The whole point
what it is?
about...
Why I get very annoyed, Paul, is that you see these people who are the benefit frauds, the benefit cheats, or the people who know how to really rinse that system. And somehow they're getting paid really serious sums of money every week. And you think, hang on a minute. Their claims are really spurious at best. And here's a guy with no roof over his head. How can that be right?
This is the irony of British society now, Russ. We used to have a legal system that would penalize criminals. We now have a legal system that penalizes mistakes unless criminals get free. So a classic example, if you're speeding in a car nowadays, you'll probably get caught by an electronic camera. It'll get sent up to Nottingham and it'll all be automated. And you'd been driving maybe 35 in a 30-mile-an-hour zone. But if you're a criminal, will you have registered that car in your name? No. Will you have a driving license insurance? Pretty unlikely. But because they're not going to investigate that, the criminal gets away and the person that's made a mistake is punished severely. And it's the same in the benefit system. We always have to remember that the benefit cheats in this country do not constitute 1%. Not 1%. It's 0.6% in fraud. And the DWP have tried to increase that by including their own errors in the figure. So whenever you hear DWP fraud, it's always DWP fraud and errors, and it comes around 1.2. So it's a really, really minuscule amount of people who commit fraud in the system. But the system is set up so that everybody is going, you're a criminal, you're trying to steal benefits. We're not having any of that. So yeah,
well, the media. I mean, the thing is, and to support what you're saying, Paul, and to be clear, the media love it. Certain newspapers and certain TV shows, they focus on some woman with 12 kids, and she's sitting there all smug, or some silly twerp who's managed to lie and got a nose. I mean, that was a classic. Who got a nose job, on benefits because she just said, "Oh, actually, I just lied. I said it was making me depressed, but I didn't have the money, so I had plastic surgery, and you've paid for it." Ha ha ha, and all that. It is a tiny, tiny little percentage. It's not. It's not like 50-60%, as you say. It's 1 to 1.2% of the issue. Let's get back to you. The question I always like to bring things down to a very human level, and it's this: you're an intelligent guy. You've had a company. You've got a university education, and you find yourself on the street. How did you? I'm not being sarcastic and flippant. How did you not say, "I'm just going to throw myself under a bus"?
Oh, I've been there. Beyond under any illusion, I've been there. I think the closest I came to ending my life was when I was on Piccadilly Circus platform, underground platform, and I saw the train coming in, and you felt yourself leaning forward.
Oh, geez.
And if it wasn't for a guard grabbing my arm, I'm not entirely sure I wouldn't have gone. But clearly somebody was very bright and spotted and said, "Are you all right?" And I kind of stepped back, and I was like,
your state, because forgive me, this is a slight detour to why you're here, because I didn't know this. That wasn't a set-up question. I really didn't know that about you, Paul.
No, very few people do. I don't.
Because we deal with mental health and suicide prevention, because Phil and I both know, and all the experts have said, because of the pandemic, because of the economic swipe that this has done, because of people's mental health is so fragile now, which it is. Undoubtedly, the suicide prevention is going to be a very key issue. I cleaned that up what I was going to say, but I'll make it more polite. You're standing on the platform Piccadilly Circus, the tube station Phil and I know very well. Is your mind thinking, "I've just had enough"?
Yeah.
What was your state of mind now, if you can recall?
It was I'm done, basically. You've exhausted. You kind of. I mean, just to put this slightly into context, all my benefits have been stopped again. It was my son usually comes to London to stay with me at Christmas, and because my benefits have been stopped, I couldn't even put him up in a hotel somewhere. I couldn't do anything. So for the first time in my life, because he lives with, or he's an adult now, but when he was a child, he lived with his mother in Cardiff. And he'd spent holidays and things with me, and I'd never missed one. I'd always been able to orchestrate hotel accommodation or friends or something. But this 1 year, I had exhausted absolutely everything. I'd reached out to absolutely everybody, and nobody could assist. So I had to cancel. And as a father, as somebody who you kind of go, well, he sees me as this person that can always pull out the thing from the back, and suddenly I was letting him down. And I was letting him down not just any old time, but at Christmas with days notice, which caused his mum problem. And it was just, I was devastated. I was just like, well, what do I do? I've done everything I could conceivably think of to get myself out of this problem. I'm going down legal channels. I'm going down, asking for assistance from charities. And you're like going, I've got nothing left. I've literally got nothing left. I've exhausted all the talents and skills that I have, and I have failed, and I've got nothing left. And that's where my brain was. And I was, when I was leading forward, it was like, well, does it matter? I'm done. I've got nothing left.
Wow. Well, thank heavens that guard and that member of London Transport grabbed you.
All goes through my mind is I'm worried how many others think like that. I'm so sure there must be countless other people who right now, this second, as we're talking, probably in similar situations, thinking the same thing and just thinking, what's the point?
I'm done. Yeah.
It is. It's really
phrase,
hard.
isn't it?
I mean,
that's the phrase.
You sometimes, I think the big thing is, I mean, I was chatting about this yesterday, that somebody was asking me about what you do with your mental health normally. And there is a caravan in St. James's Churchyard on Piccadilly, which is kind of my default. And I think that's the thing is when you're feeling low, reach out. And sometimes it's not the easiest thing to do either, because you do become very, sort of introvert, and you don't want it. But that's what I did. That was my turning point. Those two events really was, and I'm not sure the guard realized, or the transport worker realized. Actually, he just from his outside world, it probably just looked like I was about to faint. But that human touch, that someone cares, was enough.
Yeah, it is. Paul, a lot of our listeners now are writing. I don't know if you can see all the comments coming up on the right-hand side of the screen. They're saying, what can they do to help?
Well, therein lies.
He laughed nervously. Yes, go
on. No, I mean, let's take the example that we've got now. Last March, when the government said, right, we're going to get all the people who are rough sleeping in Britain, we're going to get them into hotel rooms, which is great. And you're left thinking, well, why didn't anybody do this 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago? But okay, we're doing it now. Great. I'm now being evicted again on the 30th of April because there is no coherent strategy. Nobody is approaching this holistically. So, I'm having to manage about 15 different people at the moment. So you've got your social care, your medical care, your welfare payments, your DWP, the housing solution services, the rough sleeping team. And you're like going, this is a job. I'm doing more work now, managing all of these different people.
Paul, just to be clear, where you are now, is that accommodation? Have you borrowed this from a mate? What's the
No, so I was taking, sorry, we kind of breached the gap, didn't we? So last year I was sleeping at Heathrow, and I was part of the cohort that was brought into hotel and hotel accommodation under what's called the Everyone In scheme. And so I've been here since April the 3rd last year, so almost a year tomorrow. But Everyone In ended in July or June last year, and then since then it's just been me battling against Westminster Council, trying to get them to do what they're supposed to. So now I have legal teams and all kinds of things. But it is a constant battle.
This sounds stupid, but because it may sound like a really basic, naive question. Nothing's changed. You haven't won the lottery. You haven't won the pool. I don't even know there are football pools, but you know what I'm saying. You haven't inherited it from some wealthy aunt you didn't know you had in Kentucky or some nonsense. Why are they slinging you out?
Oh, well, I'm last man standing now, because the way the councils and local authorities and the legislation currently works is that every council will try and not support you. So Everyone In, as this initiative, was government driven. It came from Boris Johnson, get everyone in by the weekend, and every local authority in Britain threw out the rules. Every local authority in Britain threw out the rules. And then all the charities came together and started breaking all the rules. And then so the major charities, and then the streets, the grassroots organizations were doing the same thing they've always done. But that was the change. Suddenly you didn't have to prove the 4 tenets, as we call them. The first thing you have to do to get assistance in this country is you have to prove that you have priority need, local connection. You're not intentionally homeless. This is my favorite one. And this is where I'm clashing, because the Westminster Council is saying, you've got to prove that you didn't make yourself intentionally homeless 12 years ago. And I'm like,
sorry. Whoa. Sorry.
Complete, utter madness.
Say that again. You have to prove. You have
Phil and I can't get our heads around this at all. You've got to prove you didn't want your life to be shit.
Oh,
this is
wow.
nuts.
Wow. Okay. Bloody hell.
All right, Paul, I've got to ask you another question here, right? When you watch TV and you pick up the paper, there's endless charities. Get the people off the streets. You know, here's Fred, he's 108 and, you know, got 3 legs. You know, all of this stuff. Where does all the charity? What happens to all of that? Why aren't there charities there, which we're always being told about, to help Paul Atherton?
Well, I think the important thing is that public perception and that media perception, right? So number one, everybody thinks of homelessness as street homelessness and as very, very sort of deprived street homelessness. People who are alcoholics and drug addicts. They are a very, 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 very small tip. Important tip, but nonetheless a very, very small tip of a very, very big iceberg. And that was clear by the government's own statistics. So the government said there are 4,500 people rough sleeping in Britain. These are the stats. This is what we're working on. They housed and let everyone in 38,000. So their count was miles off.
Hang on, we got 4,500 people, and the reality was that, and again, probably not including everybody, was 38,000.
Yeah.
And it can't be 4,500 people. Just walk around London. Jeez. Walk around London. It can't possibly be 4,500 if you extrapolate that figure nationally. It's impossible. Can't be.
Well, you're doing the thing that I always tell my friends not to do. You're doing the logic thing, Russ. Don't do the logic thing. There's no place in local authorities and public sector.
But I can't do. See, Ed Grossman's come up with it. There's so much love and support for you, Paul, by the way.
That's very kind.
Ed Grossman says, Phil, you may be considered intentionally homeless because you caused a bad credit rating. Wow, it's the word caused, isn't it? But see, it's a stupid example, Phil and Paul, how I totally can relate to this, apart from it's my greatest fear that you just fall through the cracks in the pavement and suddenly you're on the street. Is this? I had a tiny £100 dispute with a building society. It was £100, right? And it was nothing. It was an absolute nothing. It literally was £100. My credit rating went through the floor, and I kept writing to I'm not going to name the company, but the credit company, going, well, hang on a minute. A, it's £100. B, it's been resolved. C, it was their mistake. It was their mistake. It was the building society. It wasn't actually for once. It wasn't my fault.
You've just reminded me, actually, that happened to my sister as well. Exactly the same thing happened to my sister. There was a bank error, and as a result of it, her credit rating went through the floor. When she went to go and get her mortgage with her now husband, they really, really struggled initially because of this credit rating thing, and it was not her fault. I'm not being funny, but my sister and I, if I say so myself, we are both absolutely stringent with money. So careful, you would not believe it. And I know she wouldn't have got herself into any bad debt. Just no way.
No. And I can see this. And the more I said, A, it was the building society's fault. B, it's £100. Can we just get a focus on this? We're not talking 50 grand, £100. They made a mistake. They've written to me. No, made no difference. And it's taken me years, and I mean years, to get a credit rating, which is, and even now something happened. My credit rating dropped again. I thought, why? We haven't done this. Haven't done what?
I think the strangest one that most people, and it has changed in recent years, but most people didn't know. Every time you search your own file, it impacts on your credit score.
Yep.
What?
It's true. Every every time you do a search on your credit rating, that dents your credit rating.
Hang on a minute, but hang on. I'm sorry to take it away, the focus away from you, Paul, for a second. But this is important for everybody who's watching and listening around the world.
Yeah,
you are encouraged by a certain credit company who are always advertising on TV, always, to, hey, here's a tip for you to, boost your credit rating. Hey, why don't you do? They're encouraging you to go back. So nowhere, not even in the small print does it say, oh, by the way, you sucker, now you've done this, your rating's going to get a smack in the gob.
Interesting enough, the one of these companies uses a thing called Boost, which doesn't do what you think it does. So it's
Boost, yes.
The whole industry is against the consumer, against the user, and pro the institutions and pro the banks. So I mean, one of the funniest things was that when I was a kid growing up, my mother taught me to look after my money and never get in debt and all of these things. And when I was about to get my first house when I was 21, every bank was saying, you don't have any debt. And I'm like, yes, no, isn't that great? They were like, no, you don't understand. You cannot get credit unless you've got credit.
Yes,
you
that's
have
right.
to have
That's
debt.
right. That's absolutely
right. You have to have debt.
Yeah, apparently my biggest fault against my credit rating is the fact that I only have one credit card. Go figure. I have one credit card, might I say, against my will. I was advised ages ago, get a credit card because it will help your credit score. What I didn't know is you probably need multiple credit cards to have a good credit score and pay those credit cards back on time. Now, I never got told that. So I only have one credit card. I have never, ever missed a payment. It's pretty much, if it's not zero on the day, on the first of the month, it would be zero within a matter of days later. And as a result of it, I've never, ever paid interest on it or anything like that.
Ed Grossman says a very interesting point. Russ, listen, the way to get a better credit rating is to borrow money you don't need, pay it back before it's due. I know.
Not necessarily, actually, because
you're arguing with Ed Grossman. You're a brave man, Paul. Tell you that. Not very wise if you're going to take him on, but good luck. Off you go.
Well, let me. One of the
track you down. I swear to God.
One of the key things about your credit score is that they don't like you to pay off the full sum. They want to see you making money for them. So if you have a credit card and you clear it every month, you're a cost. You don't make them any money. You actually cost them money. So what they want to see is they want to see you in constant debt, paying off the interest regularly because they want to know that you're a good risk. But they do not want you using credit cards as a sort of like, clear at the end of the month and that's great. That will give you a poor credit rate.
It is incredible, and it's complete crap as well. It's disgraceful.
The
Elizabeth Green, who's watching and listening to the show in New York City. Good morning to you, Elizabeth. Yes, I had no credit rating in New York and had to get credit cards, store cards, etc. in order to get store cards. Had to get credit card, store cards in order to get store cards. Yeah, when I went to America and I went to live in America, it was the same thing. We don't know you. I said, well, I remember the best bit. I needed to hire a car, and I said, well, I'm paying cash. Oh, we can't take cash. That's not good.
Well, I mean, I tell you what. Here's a real insight for you. Okay, without giving any names away, because it's not very fair to do so. I know somebody who, this is to give you an idea of how screwed up the system in this country is, who recently had a transaction which meant that they had £1 million sitting in their bank account. Okay. Right, £1 million sitting in the bank account. They wanted to borrow enough to make up the difference for a place they were purchasing, and I think they needed to borrow £100,000. Now, bearing in mind that they had £1 million sitting in the bank at that stage, this person was denied the £100,000 because they were told that on paper they wouldn't be able to pay it back. Seriously, I mean, what?
Yeah.
Ed Grossman said, I think he was being slightly fit. Why did I want to check my credit score and all of that? And I'll tell you exactly why. I went to buy a little car. I mean, a little car to run around London. Little cheap car. That's what I drive in. There's no point for me. I don't go anywhere. I just drive around London. So there's no point in me having anything bigger. And because of this £100 bullshit from the building society, so I wanted to get it HP. And I said, we can't. I said, but And I thought, oh, sod it. So I just bought the car. End of. But that's why I couldn't get the HP. I said, but look,
I think
here's a bank
all of
statement.
it,
And no, they didn't care.
all of this, of course, is important to remember in the context of what we're talking about. This is why we have homelessness. The simplistic way of getting out, the good old fashioned way of having a handshake deal, here's the rent, we're all done, has gone. The whole system is now run by estate agents who are underwritten by insurance companies who will not underwrite them unless you have a good credit score. So that's pretty much eliminated. As soon as you get hit once, you can't get back into the system. I haven't had a bank account or a credit card now for 12 years.
How are you?
I do everything.
The other thing I was thinking is not just actually about homelessness. Absolutely, it's a major reason behind homelessness, but I think it's also a major contributor towards mental health problems as well. We know money is a major cause of people's anxiety.
Huge stress. It's a huge bloody stress. Paul, all right, I just want some basic mechanics of this because you're such an articulate guy, which is why Phil and I were so pleased you could come back on the show. On a day-to-day basis, when you're living on the streets, what do you do?
Oh, my life continues as normal.
No. You say that flippantly and you laugh, but what do? You wake up at Heath. You see, this is honestly my nightmare. But you wake up at Heathrow. You're sitting.
I'll give you a day in the life.
Yes, please.
So,
walk us through it.
Don't give too much, because I still need to do that podcast with you when we can.
I was just about to mention that, but
pandemic.
Nice try. So basically, we'll begin at nighttime because it starts. You have to time your timings right with Heathrow security. So usually you leave central London about 12:20 on the last bus, the N9, which takes about an hour and a half to get out there. So you get there about 1 o'clock, 1:15, something like that. And then you bed down, and then you get up about 6:30, 6:45. And then jump on the Piccadilly line, which takes me back into Covent Garden, which, it's about work time. Generally, it's rush hour. And then I'm back in central London, and my day can vary from, I'm a fellow at the Royal Society of Arts, so the house on John Adams Street is basically my sort of working base.
This is the magnificent juxtaposition, isn't it? You're a fellow of the Royal Academy of Arts,
Royal Society,
and you're sleeping on a freaking bench at Heathrow Airport. This is, if you wrote that in a book or a film, everyone would say, "Don't be ridiculous. That's impossible."
Ridiculous. Yeah. We've often said that. If I pitch my life story as a film,
all right. So you're in the West End. You're in Covent Garden. What do you do? So
I mean, I'd often find myself at the Royal Society, and I'd be either writing scripts or developing plays or working on a art project, and I then end up probably meeting up with friends and going out for dinner, going to the theatre, going to a film premiere. I mean
normal stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be very vulgar, and I'm sorry, Paul. This is but that's how we are. How are you paying for it? How are you paying for theatre?
I live in central London, so I don't. So, for instance, film premieres, classic London. I don't know how many Londoners are listening to this, but don't all go rushing out and doing this because
it's all over the world. It's not a London-centric station. Go
on. So film premiere is a classic example. So you go to the cinema first thing in the morning, around 8:30 in the morning of the day that the film premiere is coming out, and you will get a wristband, and they will give you a wristband, and the deal is that you're pen fodder. So you turn up and you stand in the pens for an hour or an hour and a half with all the celebs arriving and go, woo! And then they'll let you come and see the film. And if you're smart, you'll sit next to some of these celebs and plug your way into the after party afterwards. Theatre's about seat filling. So, you sign up for seat filling. They say, we need someone to fill this seat tonight. Again, it's all free.
It's free?
Restaurants.
How does that, hang on. Well, how? I mean, I understand because my friends sometimes go on the day, all the twirlies that I know, and they go, I know there's a performance for Hamilton. You got to see it. They go, oh, so we've got, you know, so you can sometimes get a discounted seat. But how come free?
Because they sometimes a lot of theatre, especially for big events where they want a complete full house, they don't sell all the tickets, and they give away a proportion of those tickets totally free.
Never heard.
Wow. Good Lord, Paul. Unbelievably enough, flat out of time again. But the only thing that we're going to have to say is you're just going to have to come back on again because we've still got loads to talk about with you.
To talk about here. This is very, very important stuff because it's so rare that we, as listeners and viewers, can really drill down and understand the horror that this is, the resilience that you show, the ingenuity that you show, and the mental strength that you have to deal with it. It embraces, you know, it embraces and is an embodiment of everything we wanted when we set up men's radio station and women's radio station. It really does. It covers so many areas.
Paul Atherton, you're amazing, sir. Thank you so much.
My absolute pleasure, gentlemen. Thank you for having me on again.
Keep well.
Take care.
We'll get you
Nice
back. Bye.
There we go. Paul Atherton. Right. From one guest to another. Daniel.
I know he's waiting. I've just got Daniel. Hang on a minute. I'm just as much as I've spoken to the guy now for ages and we've interviewed him twice. I'm just in shock. It just freaks me out. Sorry, Daniel. That's not the introduction you wanted. Phil with a proper.
No, I mean, listen. I'm very much happy to have the introduction. What a lovely guy Paul is. Fascinating.
Oh, amazing. Seriously. I mean, honestly, when we first met Paul, I don't know, it must have been over a year ago now.
Over about 18 months, probably.
Actually. Easily over a year ago, sorry, because it was definitely pre-pandemic, that's for sure.
About 18 months ago, probably.
Yeah.
At least, if not more.
Yeah. You just think, how the heck are you not broken? It just seems strong. So mentally strong to deal with all of this. Is amazing.
Yeah, so stoic. Amazing.
Anyhow,
but
Daniel.
The thing is, Daniel, you know, I'm sorry, that's not why you're here to say, and we'll get on to your subject in a second. But the thing is, Daniel, you know, what that shows, and I think a load of our listeners and viewers are in shock because you go through life thinking, no, it'll be okay. I'll go and see this counsellor. I'll go and see that charity. And what Paul Atherton does is says, it's all pants. It's all absolute pants. You're going to be thrown to the wolves and no one's going to give a shit. You know, we're just on our own. And I really feel that's how that's really how it is. Anyway, Daniel Cooper, welcome to Men's Radio Station. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you're a very busy fellow. Tell us about yourself.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's lovely to be here. So I am a computer programmer or engineer, whichever banner that falls under, and I am a company owner. And I help companies all around the world automate systems and roles within their business.
I've got the most amazing idea. Can you get this program to automate itself, and then
Phil can just live in the kitchen, stuffing his face, and he won't have to be here. We'll just have a little anime of him, you know. I don't know.
Very good. Yeah. Well, we could give it a good go. I'm not sure if the result would be.
It'd be better.
As human.
And it'll be an improvement. Trust me. No, just put two AA batteries there. That'll be improvement. That's automated enough. We don't need anything else. That's it.
Yeah, there you go. It's funny actually. I mean, listening to Paul talk, and one of the things I get asked a lot about automation is people are really, really worried about jobs being automated away, and then putting in position where they don't have an income or a job. So it's uncanny to come off the back of an interview like that for sure.
Yeah, but we cover everything in life. That's the whole point.
That jobs do change all the time. I mean, farriers aren't what they used to be. You know, we obviously still have horses, they still have hooves that need cleaning, but there's not quite as many now because arguably petrol stations replace them. Do you know what I mean? So jobs do come and go. It's not as if something else doesn't come along.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, if you look back early 1800s, off the back of the Napoleonic Wars, the country was in a very, very difficult position. There wasn't a lot of money kicking about. There was high unemployment, high inflation, and oddly, there was a real transition then of automation as well. We were starting to see automation come into factories and mills, and there was a real rise against that automation, and people were very, very worried about that. But if you were to compare the jobs we have now to then, well, we're not all now farm or factory hands.
But actually, it goes a bit deeper than that, because at the time, of course, there was such outcry as well. If you read history books about the outcry to the risk, the health risk of factory workers, when everything was so manual that people were literally dying for their work. They were dying doing the jobs they were doing, the dangers surrounding it. And now, because of the automation, heaven only knows, and we'll never know what the true number is, but many more lives must have been saved as a result of it, because it means that whatever dangerous work that was out there is not necessarily put into the hands of humans as it once was. So I think that change can be a good thing. I recognize that people do get a bit worried about automation taking over the jobs of many individuals. For example, I don't think many people would be very happy if a doctor was automated. But the point is...
Oh, hang on, that's what they'd love to do. You know it. That's what they want. It is what they want. That's exactly what they want.
Well, I think there's benefit to that, though, I would say, Russ, in some aspect, where now a lot of the technology is that you can go onto a surgical table and a doctor can be 1,000 miles away and operating remotely, so we can all get access to the very best of talent, right? I would think that would be one of the very last things, I would imagine, to be completely automated, for sure.
Yeah. Right. No, I get that. And you got to adapt or die. You got to evolve, and that's why I don't look back to. I can look back fondly to the past, but I don't live in the past. And I think a lot of people make that mistake, and I think that's bad for your mental health. I really do. You got to live in the here and now and look to the future. You can enjoy the past and look back in it with pleasure or whatever, but you can't live in it. And I think that's a big mistake.
Absolutely. I mean, we're all fear is a fear of the unknown. That's why when a child walks into a room, they're scared of the dark, because they're not sure what's there. And I think that's all very natural, right? So we're very much afraid of what's coming, because it's very hard to predict. But of course, there's only about 5% of jobs really can be 100% automated at this point. And there certainly will be some industries that suffer quite quickly.
Car industry, presumably. I mean, seriously, Daniel, in the car industry, you see Volkswagen, etc., like that, or you see Tesla, and there's hardly anybody wandering around. It's all mechanics. And it's highly accurate. I see this is the problem. Where do you stand on this? I know it probably wasn't why you came on, but I'm fascinated because you're a technical guy, and Phil's vaguely technical, and if I can make a toaster work, I'm a genius. So here's the thing: I get excited if this light bulb comes on. Ooh, look at that, science. It makes sense for the manufacturer to put in all the machinery. The cars are well made. You can't have a Friday car because a machine doesn't go, oh, good, it's Friday, I'm buggering off home and going down the pub. It produces, everything's consistent. But it's not great for people who used to work in the car industry and put the glass in and the paneling and everything else, is it? I'm just using that as one example.
Well, yeah, that's right. I mean, the robotics now involved in supply chain and the creation of goods, whether or not that's a loaf of bread or a car, has taken over. There's no denying that. But I would say that if you look, I think the big loss will be likely in the automotive industry will likely actually be in for lorry drivers. I think that's one of the first places to be automated that's screaming out for it.
Yes, I have no problem with
quite
that.
Quickly.
I'm sorry, I'm not being rude to lorry drivers, but I've seen those future plans, and the idea is, if it's automated, you could get lorries almost like trains, because it's automated, it's driven by computer. I don't have an issue with that.
Then you're not going to get stuck, are you, on the dual carriageway, sandwiched between three lorries, two trying to overtake the other, and you in the middle. So that's never a nice position.
I totally get that, and I understand that, and I don't have a problem, particularly with that. So, what is your area of expertise in particular?
Yeah, so my area of expertise is helping companies really understand the processes they undertake every day in their offices or on their factory floors, and where really humans are being wasted. I don't believe that humans should be automated out of jobs. I believe that humans should be automated into more human-facing roles. No one's ever phoned a company up and said, I wish I could just speak to a computer about this. So that's what I do on a day-to-day basis, and we help them understand where those processes can be automated by a computer or a robot, and then we get to work as engineers putting that into place for them.
So Daniel, let me ask this, and I'm not trying to be adversarial here at all. It's a genuine question. Let's say you're making widgets, doesn't matter. All right, you're making doesn't matter. Pick anything, cans of beans. I don't know. Make it up. Cans of beans, right? And in the past, you'd have people putting the. What are those people supposed to do? Because you only need, in all honesty, you need somebody on reception. You only need so many people on the phone. What are all the people who were the factory workers? Where do they go? Not that I'm saying progress isn't good. I just don't know where they go.
Well, it's an interesting question. I think it was one that when we were talking about that point back in the around the Napoleonic Wars, when we had the rise of the Luddites, that was the same question then. The reality of it is, from that story, is that they actually ended up having to hire more people because production lifted so much that they needed more hands to help run the company, and that will likely be the case. I mean, we talk about in economics, the invisible hand of economics, how things mysteriously spin together in the economy, and there will be new roles that come into play, and also it's.
Sorry, Dan, I was just going to say as well, the other thing as well is, let's not forget that people's skill sets change all the time.
Yeah.
Because if you look at something all right, let's look at a present example. Let's look at handwriting skills. Now, this might sound daft, but
I see where you're going.
Years ago, there was a massive need for a great number of scribes. People were actually employed to write things down, whether it be records, whatever it was. You needed people who had decent handwriting to be scribes. Now, because everything's done on computers, handwriting has suffered, but there are less scribes out there. You don't necessarily need them. If you have a glimpse into the future, as things become more computer orientated, look at the next generation or two down. And one of the first things they do intuitively now is use computer technology, whether it be handheld mobiles, whatever it may be. But that is all gearing towards the shift that we are experiencing. In other words, as we go further down the line of the future and more things become computerized, well, actually, we're going to have the skills there, because the next generation of workers, it will just be second nature to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Dave Sleet has mentioned here that he says the key to this is balance. And I think that's absolutely right. There's no denying that. And we also know that if you look now to how many hours we typically do in a day, we're talking about 8-hour days. Well, in Victorian times, you're lucky if you did under 12. And now there's a call for a 4-hour working week.
I always knew I was Victorian at heart.
Yeah, ditto. Now there is a call, of course, for a 4-day week, and there's been experiments in many areas with this, actually. And I know that this also ties into when we're talking about a universal basic income, and there's been many experiments of that, which actually is very much you would think potentially may not actually encourage people to work, but has the inverse effect and is very, very good for people's mental health.
Expand on that a little bit.
So universal basic income. So the idea being that everyone would receive like a base level of income. So Finland did a study on this, and the idea was that everyone would receive, I believe it was €500 a month base, no matter what, no questions asked. And actually, it was leading everyone by the end of it to much better financial well-being, more employment, higher cognitive functioning, increased levels of confidence. It has multiple benefits, really, and stops people slipping through the net, which is really important when we shift like this to automation and technology.
It's my feeling is that, and I've thought this for many years. Nature progresses, mechanics progress, tech progresses. We're making leaps and bounds that you couldn't imagine in the last even 5 years. It's quite incredible when you think like a cheap family car has more. The cheapest family car has more tech on it than they had to land on the moon. I mean, these are ridiculous. The power in your phone is infinitely, thousands of times more powerful than the phone you could buy in Tesco's, than the whole of NASA landing on the moon with Apollo 11. So there is that, but I always get upset that there's no apprenticeships. There's hardly any apprenticeships, and it's about skill. There's no physical skill, and I don't know whether physical skill and physical work is, apart from digging up the roads and some areas of farming, that are even ever going to come back.
Well, I think 2 points there. Firstly, I will often sit in my office, especially when it's a summer's day. The grass is always greener, and I would think, and I've said it to my wife quite a few times, I wish I was a farmer. Maybe I should just become a farmer. However, I'm sure in January at 5 a.m. when it's raining, I would probably say, I wish I was a computer programmer. But the thing with computer programming is, it's called a language for a reason, in that, we can all learn languages, and there is no difference between, learning a language, French, German, Spanish, or really looking to program a computer. It's a lot more daunting than you would believe it would be. Now, most programmers, and this is not something that's actually widely known, about half of them go to study computer science at university, and half simply don't. But coming out of the university or not, you don't know the language itself, the programming language, so they just learn it, and all of the information, all of it, is available online for free. There are thousands of courses, hundreds of thousands of web pages explaining the whole thing, and all of the staff that work for me have all learned the language themselves. I'm constantly learning computer programming languages to keep up, and we actively encourage that. We actually have our own foundation called the company I have is lolly.co, and we have a foundation where we encourage anyone over the age of 16 who has potentially been left behind or slipped through the cracks, so to be it, to apply, and we will teach them how to become a web engineer, a computer programmer, and we will help them get a job. If we can't give them a job of ourselves, we'll use our own contacts to find them one somewhere else, because I'm so confident in that someone with half a brain and just the sheer determination can definitely do it.
Good grief. Good to you. That's amazing.
I think it's fantastic. I know I couldn't do it.
Do you know what? You could 100%. You could 100% do it. 100%.
Right, can I? How are we doing for time? We're okay. Phil, right. I'd like to ask Daniel. Can I read some of the questions we've got from our viewers and listeners? Daniel, you could do.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course.
That's all right with you. Ed Grossman, who's also having a row with somebody in New York online at the moment with Elizabeth Green, who's watching from New York. Right. Ed Grossman says, Daniel, you're only talking about the economic impact. What about the Big Brother impact arising from digital? It's very, very bad.
It's already here. It's already.
It's here. I think it's here, and I think it's horrible. But there we are.
It's been here for some time. I often, my dad, who apologies, Dad, if you're listening, but he has a habit of deleting text messages from his phone. I said, why delete text messages from his phone? Well, I don't want to keep them there. Data risk. But the reality of it is the government has already read them, so that's too late for that. All of your phone calls and emails and text messages, these are all recorded. They are all they go through computer systems, because this is a way that the governments try to protect us, because they have to filter through this information for terrorism, organized crime.
Daniel, I'm so sorry to leap in. Forgive me. They always deny this, because I've seen interviews on TV when they say you're listening to it, and they say, "Don't be ridiculous. We can't listen to billions of phone calls."
Let's put it this way. There isn't somebody sitting there listening to every single conversation. There isn't somebody sitting there reading every single text message.
I'm boredom with mine. Christ.
But there are, without doubt, algorithms in place that can pick up and filtrate things that would be a potential national threat.
Yeah, they'll flag it. It gets flagged, and then they'll look at it. They haven't got hundreds of thousands of people constantly listening to conversations. Phil's absolutely right. I think in some ways, yes, it is a concern. Because at what point do you give up your freedom to protect each other and ourselves? For me, I'm, for a technologist, quite happy actually for them to sift through my data. I've really got nothing that is alarming or probably even remotely interesting for them to even look at. So I'm go for it. If you want to look at my text, it's boring. It's mostly what's for dinner? How are the kids?
It's really interesting you say that, because I've always said the same thing, because in my other work, I'm a computer technician. So it's what I do, and I don't really care. But I think that for those of us who understand technology and the way that it functions, it's a lot less daunting because we are in control of what goes out, so to speak. You know, we know full well that if you don't want something to go out into the ether, you don't put it out there. It's as simple as that, and therefore it doesn't go. But I think that when those who don't understand the technology to the same degree, and don't get wrong, I'm not a programmer, so I don't understand programming at all. But when you don't understand anything to such a degree that you wonder every single time you do something, what are the ramifications of it? I can imagine that technology is suddenly quite scary for some people. But make no mistake, I have a very simple premise. If you don't want to be traced, if you don't want anyone to know what you're doing, don't have a mobile phone. Get rid of that straight away. Don't bother with social media because that is just a data factory. It's just a wonder machine for people to harvest data on that. And honestly, I would say that you're probably better off not actually having an internet connection, full stop. But good luck with living in a day and age with that.
Very, very, very true. I mean, there are limits to these things, right? I mean, you were talking earlier on about you know, looking really into, you know, your personal finances and you know how your you know, how your finances are kind of viewed by different agencies, if we will, and I did laugh when we were talking about how if you do look up your credit rating, then suddenly it dents it almost in a discouraging way. They're not very keen to hand over your own data, which is certainly wrong. I do think we should be allowed to see our own data. That's certainly
we
going
pay
to
for the privilege, Daniel. I pay a monthly subscription to try and keep everything on track. So I cannot believe that I'm paying these people along with millions of other people, which is how they make the money, and yet it's detrimental to me. This is insane.
It feels like a con. It really does feel like a con.
But it feels like a complete con artist.
Funny, it doesn't need to feel like it. It is a con. Let's be honest. That's the problem. But there's just unfortunately nothing we can do because it is part and parcel of the system that's in place, and there is no escape from it. If you want to borrow money or get credit of any rate or any way whatsoever, you need to have a credit rating. It's as simple as that. So you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's horrific.
Next question to Daniel, if I may. This is from Kimmy Lashmar. Is this all right with you, Daniel? Are you
I'm happy to do this all day. No,
oh, great. Well, we won't do it all day because we've got other guests. But Kimmy Lashmar says, which jobs can't be automated, and what if electricity cuts off? I'm sorry, but it bothers me. You're risking livelihoods and well-being. Now, remember, this is Kimmy saying this to you. It is not Phil and myself, but she is a very active audience participant. And very well.
This is Kimmy's got a good point. Yeah, you know, I mean, one of the biggest concerns that governments worldwide have now is when we're talking about war or kind of enemies of the state is really people attacking network infrastructure, whether or not that's electricity or an internet, and it is absolutely a risk. And I think it's a risk to the country as a whole, not just, you know, a business or an individual. So, Kimmy, I think, absolutely, it is a danger. And government agencies take this extremely seriously. We work with a few electricity providers in the States, and some of the security is just unbelievable. We're talking about which jobs cannot be automated. I would likely say that humans are wonderful at being creative, and machines aren't as good at that. Machines are very narrow in their thinking. So whilst I might be able to create a piece of AI to beat you at chess, it would be awful at making a picture, and it wouldn't be able to do paint by numbers. It would just be pathetic. And so we are wonderful generalists and excellent at creativity. So those types of jobs are unlikely ever to be automated.
It is now. Ed said something here, and I don't know if you know about this. Ed Grossman. People, thanks to digital fascism, as from yesterday, he's a highly placed accountant. It's illegal to write something down on a piece of paper immediately before filing a VAT return. Ed, you're going to have to expand on that. Now it has to be digital. That's a short story. The impact on mental health is extreme. We try and bring everything back to mental health. That's the whole ethos of the radio station. And then Kimmy says something which is so true. I was looking at laundry baskets yesterday, and now my husband gets adverts for laundry baskets. It's bloody annoying, she says. I mean, it drives me nuts. Drives me nuts.
Yeah. So Ed, I was unaware of that as of yesterday. That is interesting. I mean, that does sound like a bureaucratic red tape introduction, and I'm not sure if that's an HMRC place there, or where that's coming from, or has been kind of I don't know who came up with that at the government side.
Some idiot.
But
apparently it's MTD.
Oh, making tax digital. Yeah, making tax digital. Yeah, it's HMRC's drive to pull all of so no more paper forms. They don't want any paper forms or receipts. They want it all done digitally now. The reason for that is that they can actually really start to use all types of data processing and machine learning algorithms to start to detect anyone who they think's on the fiddle slightly. It is very stressful for people, and for people who aren't as educated on computers and systems, it can be really stressful, having to learn this straight from the get-go. It's the making tax digital I'm well aware of, having for a while, the writing things down before your VAT return. That's certainly new. I'm certainly going to look into that. So thanks for that.
Paul Andrews is saying, yep, new HMRC rule from April the 1st. And Ed's saying, Daniel, it's the law. Wow. It's it's really scary. If people want to know more about you, Daniel, where can we find
if you want to know more about me, you can visit our company website, which is lolly.co, or you're more than welcome.
Spell it? Is it lolly as in lollipop, or
LOLLY.co?
Lolly.co.
Or you can go to my new website, which is upgradethebook.com, which is where you will find my latest book, which is released in June, which is about automation in the workplace.
It is interesting. It is. I wonder what people in the 1950s looking now, going through the factory. I wonder what they would have thought.
They think, where are the flying cars?
Where are the? Yeah, Tomorrow's World was always full of, with Raymond Baxter. Everything was going to be a flying car. We never got it. We never got
or a robot maid, one of the two.
It's always the robot maid or the flying.
It was the butler coming in with the drinks,
and it was it had a little bow tie, so you didn't feel too freaked out that it was actually a machine serving you tea. Daniel, thank you so much for finding time. I'm sure you're busy. What I'm really thrilled about, Daniel, is that Phil, whenever I'm with in the background like that, Phil always makes a comment that I'm sitting in a pub. And I'm very, very proud of Phil that he managed not to insult you. So thank you.
I would love to be sitting in a pub right now. That would be wonderful.
One can only dream of these huge things in our life. It's pathetic, isn't it? What a life we lead. Daniel, thank you very, very much. Stay well. Stay safe.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Bye.
Take care.
Okay.
There we go. Right.
Wow, that was pretty. It was a very nice guy. It's interesting. You never know what's going to be sort of contentious, do you?
Well, quite.
He's a very interesting, very nice guy. It is the world you know what, whichever way you look at it, and Phil's much more au fait with this than I am, and I don't really. It is because it's not something that I care about. I'm not passionate about it, and I don't have any knowledge on it. Phil does, and he's passionate and he's very knowledgeable about it. I hate to give him praise, but there we are. But it is the world. It's not one I particularly want to embrace, but it is the world. We don't have I always say we don't have telex machines. We don't have fax machines. It's gone.
Oh, but Russ, you know what? We don't have telex.
Wait, this is going to be so tenuous. This is going to be so horribly tenuous. Go on.
Say, come on. I thought that was...
Go on.
You're the top producer. Say, I got away with that, didn't I? We don't have telex. We've got television. I think it works, no?
And I think somebody might have just realised it was a bit of a clunky move from one thing to the next. But
anyway, Chantal, it's been nice to see you. Right, anyway.
Goodbye. No, you see, that's it. You can't take criticism, boy. Last 30 seconds of your first day at ITV. Telling you that for a start.
I wouldn't want Chantal to be here, because if she is, it normally means time for this. Oh yes, indeed.
That'll do. Do you know, Chantal? There is now a bet that people are having. What is she going to be wearing today? So they have to guess colours Would you be wearing a scarf or no?
No scarf.
It's got quite exciting now. It's got quite interesting what we're actually, we're just growing this whole segment,
I think our lives are clearly getting very too small.
It is, yeah, we're all going around the bend.
It's a bit harsh. Paul Andrews says a sickening segue. How could you? Wasn't that bad? Crying out loud. Oh, give me strength. Anyway,
hey, this is life at its best, Chantel.
Indeed.
Hi, guys and girls. What are you? Oh, I'm not even going to say his name. Sorry, I'm so late today. Yeah, join up when you can. Taken advantage of the nice weather and gone for a walk in Home Park. I don't know where that is. Now queuing for chips opposite Hampton Court. You devil, Paul Claridge.
Living the life. Living the life.
He's living the dream. He is living on the edge.
Oh dear.
God almighty. Right, welcome. Thank you so much. First things first. Are you well? Everything good?
Everything good.
Marvelous.
Yes.
Okay.
Got in the car, went to see some friends, sat in their garden on Wednesday lunchtime, and felt as though life was beginning to sort of trickle back to normal.
We need to get something out of the way straight away, first and foremost. Because last Friday, you and I were involved in a simply marvelous little production, primarily thanks to you and the brilliant Alex Reed, who was also involved as well. Production for the Cardinal Hume Centre, which is a centre that looks after people who may be experiencing homelessness. And as a result of it, they would put on a little charity evening, and it was also, we should say, thanks to MRS as well, that we could broadcast said evening. But I found out today the total that was raised as a result of it, and I nearly fell off my perch. I cannot believe how much they've raised. You put the hard work in. I think it's you who has to say this.
No. I think you should announce it. I think you should, because you were driving the show.
Please. We've got 20 minutes, you two bickering about who's going to do the announcement. Somebody announce it.
Okay, they've raised over £40,000.
Wowzer! Well done to you, Chantel. Well done to you, Phil, Dave. And if we were able to help, that's marvelous.
My
40K.
My involvement was minimal, but my God.
No, we had a very good evening. We did 2 hours of sort of live telly, as it were, online. And then I slept on my sofa, which
I saw the picture of that. Yes,
I got sponsored for. Yeah, so I'm very pleased that we were able to do something for them, because homelessness has not been great during COVID.
I don't know if you caught any of Paul Atherton's interview, but wow.
Yeah,
wow. It's just horrendous.
I mean, if you were a sofa surfer, and a lot of homeless people are sofa surfers, if you had been a sofa surfer during COVID, you weren't welcome anywhere. So actually, the charities that were looking after the homeless, and also particularly Cardinal Hume, which has a centre where you can go and stay, they had enormous amounts of pressure on them. And, we were just there to just wave the flag gently for them and raise their profile and raise a bit of money.
Well done. Right. Immediately, people want to know if you've seen certain things. So we'll kick off with this. Ed Grossman.
Okay.
I mean, boy, you God forbid you've missed something. It's like suddenly your credit rating's going down here. Chantel, this is from Ed Grossman. Creation Stories. Have you seen it? It's very good. It's really Train Spotting 3.
No, actually, I haven't seen it. So sadly, I can't give you my thoughts or scores on the doors for that one. Haven't seen it. Will do. That's my homework for the weekend. And I'll come back to you next weekend. I'm going to have to write it down before I forget.
What was the name? Isla St. Clair. All of a sudden.
Scores on the doors.
Exactly. Scores on the doors. Chantal, this is from Paul Andrews.
Okay.
Oh, you're under pressure today, Chantal. I'm telling you. Is The Dissident on today's list? I watched it last night. Amazing documentary, a must-see for April.
It is. We are going to get to The Dissident before 2:00.
Okay, right. No idea.
In other words, by the way, seeing as I'm in the company of two individuals who have spent a considerable amount of time living in America, apparently in America today, they're in some sort of panic because the conspiracy theorists believe that it's the final countdown, what with it being the 3rd of April, and of course the date being written 4, 3, 2, 1. But anyway, just thought I'd let you know.
Oh, wow.
They are raving mad. Of course they are raving mad, so let's just move on. Right, Linda, Dave, boy, you're like having to return shots like you're on a Here we go. Has Chantal seen Cheat? It's incredible. Kiss,
Yes.
kiss.
Well, I think we talked about Cheat some time ago, because Cheat, if I'm not wrong, was the story of the guys on how to Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Wasn't that Cheat?
No, that was Quiz.
Oh, that was Quiz.
Quiz.
You're
with Michael Sheen.
absolutely right. In that case, no, I haven't seen Cheat. Oh my God, I've got something else I'm going to have to watch this weekend.
All right. Well, we haven't finished yet. Emma Webb kicking in. Blimey, O'Reilly. See, this is your popular. Everyone's going, has she seen? Has she seen? Right, please all watch Keeping Faith, BBC One.
Keeping Faith I love, and this is the third series of Keeping Faith. It's a drama series from BBC Wales about a lovely blonde Welsh woman who is a lawyer, and everything goes horribly wrong in the first series because her husband, seem to remember, doesn't come home. And I'm not going to ruin it, because actually some people will be starting series 3 now, but if you've got any sense and any time, go back and watch the first 2 series, and they are on the BBC iPlayer at the moment.
Right.
Now, Paul Claridge says, I binge watched The Stand based on the novel by Stephen King. Brilliant. Now, Paul, I need details, please, because I absolutely flipping love Stephen King. I mean, I have to say, I think that he is off the flipping wall and probably needs an awful lot of help, but that's one side. I love his work. So with that in mind, you have to tell us where The Stand is.
Right. I don't know where The Stand is.
Readable. I'll tell you something very interesting about Stephen King, and this is a fact. And I say this to give hope to it. Joking aside, to give hope to everybody. And Chantal, you've been in the entertainment industry, and you're senior in it, and you will understand that somebody says Stephen King, and you say, well, he's a multi-millionaire, he's highly successful. And this is true. And this is why I think, never give up. He was taken out to lunch by his publishers, who have obviously made gazillions out of Stephen King, probably one of the most successful authors of all time.
Indeed.
And they said, Stephen, your sales are going down, and people are kind of bored with what you're writing, and we've got to do something else.
Interesting.
And Stephen King, on the basis of that lunch,
asked them to stand by me.
I'm going to slap you, I swear to God. I'm just coming round to Hertfordshire. I'm just going to slap you.
You can tell it's Friday.
You can tell it's Phil Dave. And so he started to write detective books, which are effectively thrillers. So you've got like Mr. Mercedes, which they made into TV.
Yeah.
Effectively, it's a procedural kind of detective. It's not whodunit. We know kind of whodunit, and there's 2 schools of thought. One is, and it went straight to number 1. It was boom, everybody loved it. Hit Stephen King, but he only wrote it because the publishers and his agent never said you got to do something. So if Stephen King, the god of writing, can be spoke, please don't give up, everybody. We all have to adapt and evolve and do those things. That's the only reason I mentioned the story.
Interesting.
Because he's a great craftsman. He is a great craftsman.
He is. I mean, he really knows how to write a page turner. But for me, his stuff, I mean, before the current works that he's writing, his stuff was too horrific for me.
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I just didn't like it. I didn't like I thought they were too long, and I lost the plot.
Make no mistake, you've got to have a fairly strong stomach, and I absolutely insist you haven't eaten anything with a great deal of flavors beforehand. But even so, I would suggest that if you are happy to get lost in a world that clearly derives from, how can I put it, a flawed mind. I think that's being polite, but it's amazing. I don't know where that kind of writing and that kind of imagination comes from, because it's so far from my world.
A dark place.
But that's in some strange way why I admire it, is because it's actually a glimpse. I reckon this is going to sound ridiculous, but this is how I feel. I feel like Stephen King was sort of crying out to the world before sort of anyone sort of took a trip into the way that people's minds actually work. We're much better at that today. Okay, we're very happy to psychoanalyze everyone and speak to people and actually sort of learn what makes them tick. But with someone like Stephen King, who was opening his imagination to the world a long time ago, where actually anyone looking at it would have realized now with hindsight that there are major flaws there. But he wasn't afraid of those flaws. He monetized them, and I think that's hugely admirable.
Yeah. Well, fair game to him, I suppose. I think,
Well,
but
he's made
you know, a
a
caveat:
fortune.
you have to be feeling emotionally robust to either watch certain types of film or television, or indeed to read a book. And
Totally.
if it makes you wobble emotionally, put it down or switch it off.
Totally.
Oh, yes. No.
Grossman has a question for you, Chantal. Oh, this is just ridiculous, isn't it? Right, here we go. I've always wanted to ask you, Chantal, is that Sergeant Pepper on your wall?
It isn't, but it is a Peter Blake.
It looks like it. From
yeah.
here, I could see it because it kind of looks like it's got a drum, but I can't see anymore.
No, well, very briefly, when the Mandarin Oriental Hotel in London was being done over, as it were, and they had a 2-year makeover of the building, Sir Peter Blake created a 100-foot poster that was a pastiche of the Sgt. Pepper's front cover, which he had done for the Beatles many, many years ago. And on it, they put 100 faces of people they called Friends of the Mandarin Oriental. And for some bizarre reason, I am indeed one of those people.
Get out of town.
So yes, I'm up there on my own wall.
The ultimate irony here, there is a you know where I'm going with this. Phil won't have a clue, but you know where I'm going to go with this, Chantal, is that you were producing through the keyhole. Tarrant uses the word Oriental.
Yes.
Someone in the green room goes raving mad. You have to go onto the production floor of the studio and stop the show because in certain parts of America, the word Oriental is a huge insult. And I thought it was in America when I was chatting to you there. And then I heard it from somebody else and I thought they were joking. And yet the Americans come and stay at the Mandarin Oriental. So I'm completely confused by this.
I think the word Oriental has only recently become a bit contentious. The story I told you, you're absolutely right about the word being used on Through the Keyhole and somebody taking offense to it, was only 3 or 4 years ago. It was 2 years ago. It was a fairly recent thing. And I think a long time ago, the word Oriental wasn't inflammatory, but I think now for some people it is.
But we don't. Anyway, it's an aside. I don't. Now, have you seen?
I don't think, to be fair, though, that the Mandarin Asian American has the same ring to it.
No.
No, you meant to say Occidental or something. Right. Did you manage to watch any more Flight Attendant? Everyone's asking.
I've only got as far as halfway through episode 2. I've had so much to watch this
People
week.
are saying they can't stand it. They gave up after episode 1. They couldn't take it anymore.
I'm going to have to be persuaded to go back to see the rest of episode 2. And if I do go back and watch it, then I will report in. But it's quite confusing. And I didn't really like the way that it's edited. It's sort of, it's slightly otherworldly and it goes into realms of madness that I think are a little bit tricky to follow.
Do you know what? I haven't got the patience.
You haven't got the patience.
I haven't got the patience right now. Here we go. The Stand is on Stars Play.
Stand is on, right. Okay.
And where are we now? No.
Okay.
This is
I need
again
to tell
another
you
one
what's
for
what.
you. Another one for you. This is how popular this segment is, right? Paul Andrews. If you loved Unforgotten, but you've never seen River, go grab it. Nicola Walker at her best. River. What's that? I don't know what that is.
I don't know River. I
don't know it at all. Paul, what is it? Let us know because we love Nicola Walker.
Right, Chantal, what are we supposed to be watching this week?
I'm going to have to talk really fast now. The first thing.
Sorry, but everybody loved. Everyone, you're so popular. Everyone's going, has she seen this? Oh, there you go. There you go. Right, off you go.
Right. The first thing I'm going to tell you about is an extraordinarily beautiful documentary that takes you literally to another world, another place. But I'm going to preface it by saying, do not read the Guardian review of it before you watch it, because it will ruin the whole thing. You might want to read it later. Personally, I wish I'd never read it, but don't go and read it first. It is something that's on Netflix. It's a wonderful documentary that's taken the world by storm called My Octopus Teacher.
Oh, yes.
And it seems to be, the documentary of the week, although there are several of those, but this is particularly beautiful. It's a real life story about a guy who was, slightly burnt out at work and decided to take some time off. He's a South African and he goes to swim every day in the same little part of the coast. and he comes across an octopus that lives under a rock in this little place. And actually, this documentary is about, I mean, not to put too fine a point on it, it's a love story between a human and an animal. And I know that you're a dog lover, Russ, and you will absolutely understand how you can completely fall in love with an animal. And this story is just simply beautiful. It's wonderfully filmed. It's filmed by one of the cameramen who normally works on the Attenborough documentaries. And it starts out with, in fact, it's a sequence that we've seen before or seen something similar on an Attenborough documentary. You may remember it from the last series, where the octopus gathers shells around it to hide itself from incoming predators like sharks. And that's how this story starts. The swimmer hasn't seen this before, doesn't know what this thing is that's hidden under all these beautiful shells. And then when the shark disappears, suddenly it bursts out and off it goes. Anyway, it's a wonderful story. It's just 90 minutes of sheer beauty, and it's definitely worth watching. It's on Netflix, and it's called My Octopus Teacher. And
that sounds gorgeous. I must make you laugh, Chantel. Oh, sorry, Kim.
I have to admire the way that Wikipedia have credited the cast, where they say Craig Foster, who's the documentary maker behind the program, Tom Foster, Craig's son, as himself, and then they put an octopus as himself.
He's probably got an agent now.
Good work, Wikipedia.
Got an agent. I must make you laugh, Chantel. I think others will. You know, I'm in this little, like a tiny little part in the film with Billy Murray called Nemesis, which is run straight into the number 3 at the DVD charts. So, of course,
you know why you
hang on. No, shut up. So there's a point to this about the guy, because Chantal said, don't read the Guardian review. Of course, the Guardian hated the film, gave it 1 star, slagged it off, said it was a piece of poo, as you'd expect the Guardian to do. So what Jonathan Sothcott, who's become a mate, who's the producer, he completely took a quote totally out of context, put it on the advertising. It looks fantastic. That's really, really made me laugh. They wrote the most horrible review, and he's turned it to his advantage. So well done, Jonathan Sothcott. Well done.
That's excellent.
Right, that's it. Okay.
What next?
What next? Well, we're going to stay with the sea. It's a bit of a week for sea, because there is, in fact, a very controversial documentary that's just come out on Netflix, again on Netflix. It's called Seaspiracy. And in 2014, there was a documentary that Leonardo DiCaprio was the exec producer of called Cowspiracy, which was all about cattle for food. This clearly is about farming. Fish farming from the sea, clearly, and it's the same vibe. It's the same filmmakers. I don't think Leonardo DiCaprio is attached to this one in the same way that he was attached to the first one. It's controversial in that a lot of the people featured in it, a lot of the organizations featured in it, feel that they have been discredited by this documentary. Having said that, it's a fascinating documentary to watch. It does make you think very seriously about where your fish comes from. It's definitely a story of our times. It doesn't really suggest one should give up eating fish, because I think that's simply, too far gone. But it does make you think very seriously about this industrial fishing that is going on all over the world. So bear in mind that there is some controversy around it. But having said that, it's still definitely worth watching.
Are they saying it's not true, or they're saying they've bent the facts, or what's
they're saying that their organizations have been discredited. So often on fish, you will on food, you will see labels that suggest it comes from a place where it is being protected, and there are lots of
what's it called? Sustainably resourced or resourced?
Exactly.
Something, I can't remember the phrase. You know what I mean.
And I think what they're suggesting here is that a lot of those organizations, in fact, are toothless and don't really protect anything at all. So that's where the controversy lies in the main. But the facts are the facts at the end of the day, and it's worth watching for those. It's a very well-made documentary. So it's called Seaspiracy.
There are some horrible images, speaking of which, of salmon farming. Yeah. And you see some of the state of it. Jeez, I'm never going to do that. Anyway, that's an aside. Okay. Judy Albert agreeing with you. Seaspiracy is shocking and brilliant.
Yeah, it's definitely worth watching. But very quickly.
I never enjoyed ripping it apart as well. So
What's that?
So before we run out of time, I think I better tell you about The Dissident, which is it's on Amazon. It's been BAFTA nominated for this year for Best Documentary Feature. It is a real life, true story thriller, in effect, about the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, who was a journalist for the Washington Post. He was from Saudi Arabia, and the suggestion is that he was murdered by the Saudis. He went into the Saudi consulate in Turkey and did not come out of the embassy alive, or the consulate alive. They have got so much authenticated material. They actually have the audio tapes of what happened. It's very detailed. It's long. It's complicated. A lot of it clearly isn't in English, so you've got to keep up with the subtitles. But it's a very, very informative and very scary documentary. But I think something that everybody needs to watch. And you will find, goodies and baddies in it, but it's cut in the way that all documentaries like that now are being cut as thrillers and page turners. So it's an easy watch, but it's very hard material. But
so he went into an embassy and he never came out of the embassy.
No, it's called The Dissident because he had become a dissident. He was clearly a centrist leaning journalist, and he effectively managed to blot his copybook with the Saudi government, and the Saudi government clearly didn't like what he had to say.
Doesn't go well ever, does it?
No.
It's never going to end well if you do that. Never going
And
to end.
lots of very interesting people are included in it. Clearly, there are pieces from Donald Trump in it. There's a whole sequence about Jeff Bezos, who is the richest man on the planet, who owns Amazon. There's a lot of material about the social media campaign that was going on around it, which is also fascinating. So it's complicated, it's challenging, but it's something that we all ought to watch.
And just remind us the name and where that is, sorry?
It's called The Dissident, and that's on Amazon Prime. And it's been nominated for a BAFTA as well. So it's certainly getting a lot of traction, as they would say in the business.
Well, you're resonating today, Chantal Glassy. Amanda, can't wait to watch all these. Thanks, Chantal. Paul Andrews, it's a fascinating documentary. Feels like a spy thriller.
Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like.
Clever how
they... And then very briefly, a film to watch, which has just come out also on Amazon, is called The Mauritanian, which again is a true life story about a young man from Mauritania who ends up at Gitmo, Guantanamo Bay, or Gitmo as the Americans call it, and is there for 7 years and isn't charged during that time. And along comes a real life lawyer played by Jodie Foster, who decides to challenge the American government to get him released. On the other side of this court case is Benedict Cumberbatch, who is the lieutenant colonel who is trying to keep him inside. So again, a true story, but done as a drama, done as a thriller, a movie, full-length movie, and that's also on Amazon, and definitely one to watch, and has also been nominated, many nominations.
Name of that again?
That is called The Mauritanian.
Do you know what I thought you were going to talk about? One of those bloody Star Wars spin-offs.
No.
And that's The Mandalorian or something.
No.
Maybe it's Mandarin Oriental. One of the two.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've given up on all the Star Wars stuff. I can't bear it
And
anymore.
one final film, if you haven't seen it, if you missed it, Channel 4 tomorrow night is running the Spike Lee film called Black Klansman. And Klansman is spelled KKK. Clearly, the reason for that is because it's a story about a black police officer in 1971 who infiltrates the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan, in America. And it's funny. Spike Lee is always funny, but it's a challenging story, but really worth watching, and won an Oscar in 2018.
Marvelous. Chantal, I think we've got room for one more quickfire if you've got that.
One more quickfire. I would say maybe The Detectives on BBC Two, I think it is, fighting organised crime. It's called The Detectives. It's a documentary series. BBC do them incredibly well, and it's about organised crime.
Marvelous stuff.
Oh yeah.
Now,
like
thank
that.
you as ever, and especially thank you for joining us on Good Friday as well. That's very much
Thank you
appreciated.
very much. Happy
Not at
Easter
all.
to you. Happy
Happy
Easter.
Easter. Bye bye. There we go. Oh, lovely Chantal.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Fantastic guest today. Fantastic guest.
There you go. That wasn't too bad, was it?
Well, you're not really supposed to say that. I don't know. Really great. Thank you to Anna Kennedy, OBE, Chantal Records, OBE, Phil Dave, Blockbusters Video Club.
GCSE. Thank you very much also to Paul Atherton. Thank you to Nate, to Ethan as well, who joined us as well with Anna. Also,
well done, Ethan.
Really appreciate it. And thank you, of course, all for your comments as well. Because you know what? I was just thinking, I don't actually know for certain without counting them. I'm fairly sure today that we might have had more interaction than we've had, if not ever before, than for a very long time. And that means an awful lot.
It means everything, because as I always say, you are the show, and in many ways you guide it, because we never know what's going to hit, what you're going to bite on. But bless you for that.
And not mention being a bank holiday as well. Hello.
Philip,
yes.
Could you bear to do this all again on Monday?
Oh, do I have to?
No, you don't. Yes.
Well, do you know what? Actually, seeing as I couldn't be bothered to turn up last Monday, I think the least I could probably do is actually
do this all again on Monday. Bless you. Thank you for all your fantastic comments, Phil. As always, thank you to you. This is Men's Radio Station. If you want to watch it all again, go to the YouTube channel.
Bye bye. Have a good weekend.